Hey truckers, here is part 2 of Villain tricks heroines into hating the MC. Wang Jian rolled his eyes in disdain. It was just a low-ranked poison, not something like devil venom. His eyes suddenly flashed with an evil glint. Wear your clothes now. I will heal the other members of your tribe. Kong Huiyan struggled to stand, her body feeling weak and her legs trembling. She looked at Wang Jian with a mix of shame and resentment. I can't, I feel too weak, she muttered, her voice barely audible. Wang Jian raised an eyebrow and walked over to her. He gently grabbed her arm and pulled her up, causing her to stumble and nearly fall. You have no choice, he said, his tone comforting. Take a moment and try to gather your energy, Wang Jian suggested. His words made Kong Huiyan scowl furiously as she couldn't help but think, you fucking bastard. You make it sound as if this is all my fault. It's all because you were such a horny dog. That was my first time. Not even Brother Feng had taken my first time yet. I wanted to give it to him after he would defeat you as his reward. I never imagined it would be you who would take my virginity. But so, what if you get my body? You will never have my heart. It will always belong to Brother Feng. Regrettably for Kong Huiyan, Wang Jian had no interest in winning her affections. His true desire was to overpower and corrupt her so thoroughly that even though she had feelings for Lin Feng, she would be compelled to turn to Wang Jian for carnal desires. However, this wasn't the entire reason Wang Jian healed the entire Crimson Mammoth tribe. Actually, even without Kong Huiyan begging him, Wang Jian planned to treat them all. This was because of his plan to conquer the other two heroines. Wang Jian's next target was the Miracle Angel tribe. With what he had planned, he felt that it would be easy to conquer Han Shifeng. Among the women who loved Lin Feng, Han Shifeng was the one who felt the most intense emotions for him. She was also a pure woman that possessed the demeanor of a fairy. Wang Jian was sure that losing her would be a considerable blow to Lin Feng's luck. In fact, after taking Kong Huiyan's virginity, Wang Jian gained astronomical number of destiny points. The total number of points he gained from Kong Huiyan alone was around 80,000. The reason for acquiring so many points was because Wang Jian had utterly humiliated her and broken her as he had sex with her in this canvas. He had broken her to such a level that she failed to think of anything other than that carnal pleasure. Her moans were loud enough to resound in the canvas, and if Wang Jian hadn't anticipated this and spread his chi to contain her voice, the entire tribe would have known of her debauched act. However, these weren't the only points he earned. Wang Jian also earned nearly 5,000 destiny points from Su Xian. Apparently, she was thinking of him all this time. Name, Wang Jian. Age, 20 years old. Destiny points, 164,770. Cultivation, first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique, Soaring Dragon Technique, level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills, Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moonshadow Step and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline, Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. First level, next level, 100,000. Physique, Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit, Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses, Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Great. I can upgrade my bloodline now, Wang Jian whispered. Wang Jian arrived at the realization that the destiny points he had accumulated thus far were inadequate to enhance his cultivation rank to the King Realm. Consequently, in order to acquire additional skills, he must improve either his cultivation method or his bloodline. Truthfully, Wang Jian was considerably more intrigued by the formidable capabilities offered by his devil bloodline. However, he couldn't order the system to upgrade his bloodline now. First, he had to get away from this place and arrive at a safe location before commencing this process. Before that, Wang Jian planned to treat the entire Crimson Mammoth warriors of their poison. Kong Huiyan walked while limping as she left the canvas alongside Wang Jian. As the two emerged from the canvas, many members of the Crimson Mammoth tribe surrounded them and began asking, "Is Chief Fu all right? Will he survive? If anything has happened to him, we won't let you off. You three! Go check Chief Fu's condition. Give us a shout if he is all right." While the members of the Crimson Mammoth tribe created chaos, Kong Huiyan spoke firmly, "Father has been treated. He will be all right. Now, it's time to heal all of you," Wang Jian spoke as his eyes were filled with a fiery glint. Before Kong Huyen or her tribe members could understand his words, a massive qi flooded the entire region. This qi entered the bodies of all the tribe members and forcefully expelled the poison within their blood. Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. This entire scenario took less than 10 minutes. Kong Huyen, including all her tribe members, were shocked at this display of power. Why you? What is your cultivation realm? I am an origin realm expert, but I couldn't have accomplished that. Same here, buddy. That pressure could not be generated by an origin realm expert. He must be at the Lord realm. Those words dumbfounded Kong Huyen, as she never expected that Wang Jian's power was so great. The hope in her heart to make Wang Jian pay for his actions diminished significantly. Let's return, Wang Jian stated. His words sounded like an order to Kong Huyen, who limped her way to the chariot. The wheels of the chariot began rolling as Wang Jian and Kong Huyen made their way to the mansion. After Wang Jian was gone, the Crimson Mammoth warriors regained their composure and created multiple patrols around the hideout. The Crimson Mammoth warriors didn't want the Miracle Angel tribe and the Night Dagger clan to get to them again. 5 hours elapsed before Kung Fu regained consciousness. After hearing the details of his recovery, Kung Fu's fury erupted wildly. He broke a couple of rocks and even the ground due to his power. Kung Fu was feeling even angrier after hearing his tribe members describe Wang Jian's power. According to their words, Wang Jian's power was far beyond him. He was already at the Lord realm. After another few hours of recovery, they received a message from Fin Zhen, the leader of the Night Dagger clan. This message stated detailed instructions along with an address. Kung Fu read those instructions and couldn't help but think, what a wicked scheme. The Miracle Angel tribe will never see this coming. In the meantime, after Wang Jian returned from the Crimson Mammoth tribe's hideout, he organized a room for Kong Huyen and stationed 3 experts to watch over her. Kong Huyen was at a loss as to how to proceed with her life after striking a deal with Wang Jian. She knew that he held complete ownership over her, despite not having signed any slave contract. The mere thought of his ability to enforce the deal left her with a feeling of helplessness. Wang Jian's ability to threaten her tribe and leave her with no other choice loomed over her like a dark cloud. Despite these overwhelming thoughts, Kong Huyen's mind was not entirely consumed by them. The words of her tribe members still lingered in her head, spoken in moments of rage and frustration. These words stirred up emotions within her that she had never experienced before. She felt a sense of anger and betrayal, not only towards Wang Jian but towards herself as well. For allowing herself to be used and dominated by him, for submitting to his every whim, she couldn't help but feel ashamed. While Kong Huyen was wallowing in guilt, Wang Jian had already ordered the system to upgrade his bloodline. Wang Jian soon felt his qi pulsing with an otherworldly energy. The upgradation process was intense, as though his very essence was being altered. The process lasted for an entire day, during which Wang Jian was barely conscious. But when he finally emerged, he felt a new power surging within him. His qi had undergone a drastic change, becoming more potent and infused with devilish energy. Discover NW Chapter SN0EL.com. His muscles grew stronger, his bones became denser, and his senses became sharper. He could see more clearly, hear more acutely, and sense things that were beyond his normal range of perception. As he reached the 2nd level of his bloodline, he unlocked several new abilities. One of these was the ability to manipulate shadows known as shadow manipulation. He could now create shadow clones of himself, which he could use to confuse and distract his opponents. He could also use the shadows to move quickly and silently, allowing him to sneak up on his enemies. The 2nd ability was named Dark Fog. This ability creates a thick fog of darkness that can obscure the vision of enemies, making it difficult for them to see and attack the user. And last, but the most important ability he unlocked of this level was known as Eclipse Domain Annihilation. This technique is a devastating attack that unleashes a massive wave of dark and chaotic qi that spreads out in all directions, obliterating everything in its path. The attack is so powerful that it can wipe out entire armies with a single blast. As the qi wave expands, it generates a powerful gravitational force that sucks in everything around it, crushing and destroying everything within its reach. The Eclipse Domain Annihilation is not only a physical attack but also has a psychological effect on the enemy, inducing a sense of dread and despair. Those who are caught in the blast are consumed by an overwhelming feeling of hopelessness and despair, making them easy targets for follow-up attacks. However, the power of this technique comes with a cost. It requires a massive amount of chi and can only be used sparingly. The user must also be careful not to lose control of the chaotic chi, as it can quickly spiral out of control and consume the user themselves. Thus, only the devils possessing a strong mind are allowed to utilize this spell, else they lose themselves to it. Fortunately, Wang Jian's soul was a combination of two individuals. His soul was sufficiently more powerful than a typical devil, and he could definitely utilize this technique without strongly feeling the after effects. Name: Wang Jian. Age: 20 years old. Destiny points: 64,770. Cultivation: first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique: Soaring Dragon Technique, level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills: Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding, Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moon Shadow Step, Shadow Manipulation, Dark Fog, Eclipse Domain Annihilation, and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline: Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. Second level, next level, 500,000. Physique: Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit: Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses: Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Warning: the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra's passive ability can barely deal with the emotional instability after effect of the Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. It is recommended to upgrade this technique. The cost to upgrade the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra is 100,000 destiny points. Wang Jian had nearly forgotten about this issue. Fortunately, it wasn't an urgent situation right now. After Wang Jian was gone, the Crimson Mammoth warriors regained their composure and created multiple patrols around the hideout. The Crimson Mammoth warriors didn't want the Miracle Angel tribe and the Night Dagger clan to get to them again. 5 hours elapsed before Kung Fu regained consciousness. After hearing the details of his recovery, Kung Fu's fury erupted wildly. He broke a couple of rocks and even the ground due to his power. Kung Fu was feeling even angrier after hearing his tribe members describe Wang Jian's power. According to their words, Wang Jian's power was far beyond him. He was already at the Lord Realm. After another few hours of recovery, they received a message from Fin Zhen, the leader of the Night Dagger clan. This message stated detailed instructions along with an address. Kung Fu read those instructions and couldn't help but think, what a wicked scheme. The Miracle Angel tribe will never see this coming. In the meantime, after Wang Jian returned from the Crimson Mammoth tribe's hideout, he organized a room for Kong Huiyan and stationed 3 experts to watch over her. Kong Huiyan was at a loss as to how to proceed with her life after striking a deal with Wang Jian. She knew that he held complete ownership over her, despite not having signed any slave contract. The mere thought of his ability to enforce the deal left her with a feeling of helplessness. Wang Jian's ability to threaten her tribe and leave her with no other choice loomed over her like a dark cloud. Despite these overwhelming thoughts, Kong Huiyan's mind was not entirely consumed by them. The words of her tribe members still lingered in her head, spoken in moments of rage and frustration. These words stirred up emotions within her that she had never experienced before. She felt a sense of anger and betrayal, not only towards Wang Jian but towards herself as well. For allowing herself to be used and dominated by him, for submitting to his every whim, she couldn't help but feel ashamed. While Kong Huiyan was wallowing in guilt, Wang Jian had already ordered the system to upgrade his bloodline. Wang Jian soon felt his chi pulsing with an otherworldly energy. The upgradation process was intense, as though his very essence was being altered. Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. The process lasted for an entire day, during which Wang Jian was barely conscious. But when he finally emerged, he felt a new power surging within him. His chi had undergone a drastic change, becoming more potent and infused with devilish energy. His muscles grew stronger, his bones became denser, and his senses became sharper. He could see more clearly, hear more acutely, and sense things that were beyond his normal range of perception. As he reached the second level of his bloodline, he unlocked several new abilities. One of these was the ability to manipulate shadows known as shadow manipulation. He could now create shadow clones of himself, which he could use to confuse and distract his opponents. He could also use the shadows to move quickly and silently, allowing him to sneak up on his enemies. The second ability was named Dark Fog. This ability creates a thick fog of darkness that can obscure the vision of enemies, making it difficult for them to see and attack the user. And last, but the most important ability he unlocked of this level was known as Eclipse Domain Annihilation. This technique is a devastating attack that unleashes a massive wave of dark and chaotic chi that spreads out in all directions, obliterating everything in its path. The attack is so powerful that it can wipe out entire armies with a single blast. As the chi wave expands, it generates a powerful gravitational force that sucks in everything around it, crushing and destroying everything within its reach. The Eclipse Domain Annihilation is not only a physical attack but also has a psychological effect on the enemy, inducing a sense of dread and despair. Those who are caught in the blast are consumed by an overwhelming feeling of hopelessness and despair, making them easy targets for follow-up attacks. However, the power of this technique comes with a cost. It requires a massive amount of chi and can only be used sparingly. The user must also be careful not to lose control of the chaotic chi, as it can quickly spiral out of control and consume the user themselves. Thus, only the devils possessing a strong mind are allowed to utilize this spell, else they lose themselves to it. Fortunately, Wang Jian's soul was a combination of two individuals. His soul was sufficiently more powerful than a typical devil, and he could definitely utilize this technique without strongly feeling the after effects. Name: Wang Jian. Age: 20 years old. Destiny points: 64,770. Cultivation: first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique: Soaring Dragon Technique, level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills: Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding, Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moon Shadow Step, Shadow Manipulation, Dark Fog, Eclipse Domain Annihilation, and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline: Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. Second level, next level, 500,000. Physique: Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit: Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses: Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Warning: the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra's passive ability can barely deal with the emotional instability after effect of the Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. It is recommended to upgrade this technique. The cost to upgrade the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra is 100,000 destiny points. Wang Jian had nearly forgotten about this issue. Fortunately, it wasn't an urgent situation right now. While Wang Jian was unconscious due to his bloodline upgradation, the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Night Dagger clan collaborated to develop an elaborate strategy to ambush the Miracle Angel tribe. On one side, Fin Zhen of the Night Dagger clan expertly persuaded Han Lei regarding a surprise attack on the Crimson Mammoth tribe. "You don't need to be worried, Han Lei. Loyal members of my tribe have already discovered their new position, and it's not too far from their previous location." Han Lei trusted Fin Zhen quite a bit. This was all because Fin Zhen had assisted the Miracle Angel tribe by providing them with various supplies and even those ants with which they crippled many warriors of the Crimson Mammoth tribe. In fact, Han Lei believed that the poison of those venomous ants must have killed most warriors of the Crimson Mammoth tribe, while only the experts of the tribe are barely clinging to their lives. Thus, the danger to this mission could be considered moderate or small. This would be a historic feat for the Miracle Angel tribe to completely rat out the Crimson Mammoth tribe from the Mellow Magnolia Woods. The Night Dagger clan members also helped the Miracle Angel tribe with their preparations for this ambush. Han Lei and Han Shifeng observed that in this mission, the Night Dagger clan members actually planned to participate actively. "Wouldn't this be a bit of an overkill?" Han Lei asked with a wide grin on his face. "It sure will be," Fin Zhen responded while matching that grin. "That's also good. We can't take any chances against these brutes," Han Lei spoke. A day passed, and Wang Jian arrived at the location where the huge battle would take place. Fin Zhen had naturally sent him the address of this battle. Only 20 or so Crimson Mammoth warriors were present on the site. The rest were hiding nearby. As Wang Jian had arrived much earlier, he had already noticed them and stayed careful not to reveal his position. In contrast to the low number of Crimson Mammoth warriors on the site, the Miracle Angel tribe and Night Dagger clan had arrived in full force, with over 60 warriors from each tribe. "Give up, Kung Fu. It's your last chance," shouted Han Lei. "We will never surrender." Kung Fu shouted valiantly. Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. His tribe members all roared in a strange fervor as they launched themselves at their adversaries. The Miracle Angel tribe members immediately charged at the Crimson Mammoth tribe warriors, their weapons clashing in midair. The Night Dagger clan members remained behind, making the Miracle Angel tribe members wonder what was at play. As the battle raged on, the Crimson Mammoth tribe members fought valiantly, their brute strength and martial prowess allowing them to close in on the Miracle Angel tribe's forces. However, they were met with a barrage of arrows and spells that took down many of their numbers. Just as it seemed like the Crimson Mammoth tribe members were about to be defeated, the Night Dagger clan emerged from behind, revealing their true allegiance to the Crimson Mammoth tribe. The Night Dagger clan members started attacking the Miracle Angel tribe from behind, causing chaos and confusion among their ranks. The Crimson Mammoth tribe members rallied, and their spirits were lifted by the unexpected turn of events. More Crimson Mammoth tribe warriors suddenly made their presence known as they joined this battle. They charged forward with renewed vigor, their muscles bulging with strength as they tore through the Miracle Angel tribe's defenses. Han Shifeng, the heiress of the Miracle Angel tribe, fought fiercely to defend her people, but the situation turned out to be hopeless. As the battle raged on, her anger grew with every passing moment. She watched as her fellow Miracle Angel tribe members fell one by one to the combined forces of the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Night Dagger clan. But what truly enraged her was the sudden betrayal of the Night Dagger clan, who had allied themselves with the Crimson Mammoth tribe. She couldn't believe that they had turned their backs on the Miracle Angel tribe, especially after they had been so close to forming an alliance. As the chaos continued, Han Lei, her father, ordered her to escape, but she refused. "No, father. I won't leave you here to die. We can fight together and defeat them." Han Shifeng protested, her voice trembling with emotion. But her father was adamant. "I must stay and hold them off. You must escape and find Lin Feng. Only by his side can you be safe. Find a way to avenge us. Make sure to rebuild our tribe. Promise me, Shifeng." Han Shifeng protested again, but Father Dash. Han Lei grabbed her by the shoulders and spoke to her in a stern, angry tone. "Listen to me carefully, Shifeng. You are the heiress of the Miracle Angel tribe, and your survival is the top priority. You must leave now and live to reclaim our tribe's glory in the future. Do you understand?" Han Shifeng tried to protest, but her father's tone left no room for argument. "But father, I cannot leave you and the tribe to face this danger alone. We should fight together." Han Lei shook his head, his eyes filled with tears. "No, Shifeng. You are our hope for the future. You must live. Live to avenge our tribe and then rebuild it. Remember, I am always with you, no matter what happens. Promise me," he interrupted with a firm tone. Han Shifeng's eyes filled with tears as she nodded reluctantly, "I promise." She turned to leave, but as she ran, she couldn't help but feel a burning rage towards the Night Dagger clan. How could they do this? We trusted them. We were supposed to be allies, she thought to herself, clenching her fists. If Wang Jian had heard her words, he would have probably burst out in laughter. His plan had worked wonderfully. This was exactly what he wanted to accomplish. Wang Jian wanted to create a burning desire for vengeance in Han Shifeng's heart. Moreover, its primary target would be the Night Dagger clan, with Crimson Mammoth warriors being her secondary target. It will be easy to make her submissive. I probably don't even need a contract for this. I just need to promise her that I will demolish the Night Dagger clan for her. And in return, she just needs to give her the only thing she possesses. She is the heroine who feels most intensely for Lin Feng. Losing her would be a huge blow to his luck, and my destiny points will definitely go past the 100,000 mark again. Maybe it could cross the 200,000 mark this time. Wang Jian couldn't help but smile as this thought crossed his mind. Now, it was time to conduct a deal with her. However, just as Wang Jian felt that Han Shifeng was in his grasp, she did something that tossed his calculations out of the window. As Han Shifeng created some distance from the battlefield, she pulled out a rare talisman known as the 100 Miles Teleportation Talisman from her storage ring. The talisman was old and worn, with intricate symbols etched onto its surface. Han Shifeng focused her chi into the talisman, pouring her energy into the symbols. As she did so, the talisman began to glow with a bright light, and Han Shifeng could feel its power building. She closed her eyes, concentrating on the talisman and the energy flowing through her body. Suddenly, there was a loud crackling sound, and a burst of energy erupted from the talisman. Han Shifeng was enveloped in a blinding light, and when it faded, she found herself several hundred miles away from the battlefield. As she caught her breath and tried to make sense of what had just happened, she realized that she had used up a significant amount of her chi in the process. She knew she needed to rest and regain her strength before continuing her journey. As Han Shifeng activated the 100 Miles Teleportation Talisman and disappeared before his eyes, Wang Jian was following her closely behind. He was left completely dumbfounded as he never expected her to possess this rare talisman. But soon, Wang Jian realized the potential implications of Han Shifeng's escape. He knew that he needed her to complete his master plan, and her sudden disappearance could prove to be a major setback. With a scowl on his face, he began to scan the area, hoping to find some clue as to where Han Shifeng might have gone. Little did he know that she had just teleported several hundred miles away, far beyond his reach. Shit! I was too overconfident. Wang Jian cursed underneath his breath. There is still time. That talisman wasn't the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman. Perhaps some sort of inferior copy. I should be able to catch up to her. Thus, Wang Jian immediately spread his divine sense and scanned the region around him as he ran around. The biggest problem for him was that he had no idea in which direction Han Shifeng had teleported. While Wang Jian was searching for her, Han Shifeng came across a shocking individual. It was none other than Lin Feng. This was absolutely the worst timing for her to meet him. Han Shifeng informed him of everything that transpired while he was in the Thundering Hemlock Woods. That's right. The Crimson Mammoth tribe waged war on us because of our actions against Kong Huiyan. Considering their temper, it wasn't a surprising thing. But why? I specifically told the Night Dagger clan to not mention anything about that, Lin Feng muttered. Up to dfrm no/v/e/lb, in.co/m. Han Shifeng gritted her teeth upon hearing the name of that clan and venomously spat, who knows? Maybe this was another one of their schemes. I don't care their reasons, I just want them to pay for their actions. Lin Feng didn't like how Han Shifeng was talking about the Night Dagger clan, but he didn't admonish her. He could understand her raging emotions. The Night Dagger clan had just betrayed her tribe, which resulted in the total annihilation of her tribe. Her father even had to sacrifice himself just to ensure that she escaped. This must have been a significant blow to her. Go on ahead, Lin Feng spoke softly. Han Shifeng nodded. It was unknown how information was leaked. Initially, it was through rumors, and eventually, the Crimson Mammoth tribe demanded Kong Huiyan from the Night Dagger clan. The Night Dagger clan accepted their demands and delivered Kong Huiyan to them. After she returns to their clan, the Crimson Mammoth warriors waged war on us. In consequence, my tribe allied with the Night Dagger clan, and we started ambushing their members. I see, Lin Feng whispered as he was lost in deep thought. He couldn't believe that the situation devolved so quickly after he left. It was as if several months or years had passed after he was gone. Initially, everything was going wonderfully. The Crimson Mammoth warriors countered swiftly, but we easily dealt with it. We even forced them to switch their hideout to another one. But this was an underground hideout. This time, we received the Night Dagger clan's assistance as they provided us with venomous ants. These venomous ants poisoned the members of the Crimson Mammoth tribe and weakened them considerably. After a day or so had passed, we felt it was best time to take out the Crimson Mammoth tribe in one swoop. However, this was all a ruse. How so? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. The Crimson Mammoth tribe members were not afflicted with the poison. Instead, they were healthy and robust. They gave off the appearance that they were affected by stationing weak men in their hideout. Once the battle began and the situation got a bit worse for them, the Night Dagger clan attacked us suddenly. Lots of Crimson Mammoth tribe members suddenly jumped in from the nearby trees as if they were waiting for this opportunity. Han Shifeng's voice quivered as tears welled up in her eyes. My entire tribe was wiped out in just a matter of minutes. Her grief erupted in the form of sniffles and sobs. Soothingly, Lin Feng embraced her and promised, "Don't worry, everything will be all right now that I'm here." Unbeknownst to them, Wang Jian had been watching their interaction from a distance, scowling in frustration. This is the worst possible scenario. With Lin Feng here, my entire plan will easily crumble. I need to act fast and come up with a new strategy. Is there any way to salvage the situation? Wang Jian reorganized his thoughts as he tried to think of a new strategy. Wait, what if I switch my target? I was saving her for the last, but it appears that the plan needs to be changed. My next target should be Fin Shuiying, the heiress to the Night Dagger clan. A broad grin slowly stretched across Wang Jian's face as this idea firmly embedded itself in his mind. I should begin the first step quickly. Wang Jian whispered. While this situation was occurring, the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Night Dagger clan were cleaning the battlefield. They rolled all the bodies to the side and dealt with them according to their customs. After dealing with the corpses, the two tribes returned to their hideouts respectively. They had to deal with the aftermath of this battle. Also, the two tribes had to negotiate regarding the newly acquired territory, hideouts, and resources of the Miracle Angel tribe. Explore new ovals on nvelby.com. They also planned to assign a few teams to find Han Shifeng. However, they weren't too worried about her. She was a weak woman who would find it challenging to survive the beasts in this forest. It would be hard for her to stir up any waves. Naturally, they were completely oblivious to the fact that she had come across Lin Feng and informed him of everything she knew. After their victory, Kung Fu decided to meet Wang Jian. However, since it was already nighttime, he felt it would be better to meet him the next day. Well, that was the right decision, as Wang Jian had already gone to Night Dagger clan's primary hideout. Wang Jian utilized his Moonshadow Step and Shadow Manipulation to conceal his traces as he infiltrated their hideout. After infiltrating their hideout, he quickly entered Fin Zhen's house. Inside this house, only Fin Zhen's wife, his daughter, and a couple of servants were present. Fin Zhen hadn't brought them on this ambush as he didn't want them to be in danger. Outside of Fin Shuiying's room, Wang Jian dropped a note. This was a note that he had previously sent Fin General. This note contained information about the situation, instructions for the next task for Fin Zhen, and a question about whether the previous task was completed or not. It even had Wang Jian's seal on it. All in all, this note was proof of collaboration between him and Fin Zhen. After dropping this note, Wang Jian knocked on Fin Shuiying's room before fleeing quickly. Fin Shuiying swung open the door, only to be greeted by an empty hallway. Baffled, she scanned her surroundings before her eyes fell upon a piece of paper lying on the ground. With trepidation, she retrieved the note and perused its contents. The more she delved into its message, the more her countenance grew ashen. Father was collaborating with Brother Feng's enemy, Wang Jian? And this doesn't seem to be the only time they collaborated. She whispered in shock. Wang Jian stood in the shadows, his eyes fixed on the elegant figure of Fin Shuiying. She stood there, illuminated by the pale moonlight, her beauty otherworldly. Her alabaster skin glowed in the light while her long locks of dark blue hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. Her large turquoise eyes sparkled in the darkness, drawing Wang Jian's gaze like a moth to a flame. He was greatly delighted to witness her shocked expression. I can move forward to the second phase. He knew that Fin Shuiying would seek confirmation regarding this letter from her father. He will definitely be forced to inform her of the truth. This will only cement the fact in Fin Shuiying's mind that he has been collaborating with Wang Jian. Wang Jian's next task was to return to his mansion. He ordered his subordinates to spread the news and leak his illicit relationship with Su Xian and Kong Huiyan. The source of this information would be his close guards and even the servants. These individuals were startled to receive this order. They thought Wang Jian was planning to get rid of them. However, after getting their pleas rejected repeatedly, they decided to go through with this order while setting up an escape plan. The information traveled quickly as Wang Jian's fame was extremely high. Most people in Jingguan region were curious to know all information about him. Some influential individuals in the region even approached those servants or guards personally to verify these rumors. Through this method, the rumors were verified. In response to these rumors, the first one to erupt was none other than Kung Fu. His eyes widened as he heard the rumors circulating about his daughter Kong Huiyan's illicit relationship with his enemy, Wang Jian. He had always known Wang Jian to be a scheming, power-hungry man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. And now, his worst fears were being confirmed. He never expected that his daughter would be in an illicit relationship with this man. Without wasting a single moment, Kung Fu headed towards Wang Jian's mansion. He needed to confront him about these rumors and get to the bottom of the situation. The guards at the entrance led Kung Fu to Wang Jian. As he stepped inside the hall, he saw Kong Huiyan standing near Wang Jian, her head bowed down. Kong Huiyan, he called out, is it true what they are saying about you and Wang Jian? Kong Huiyan's eyes filled with tears as she remained silent. She knew that her father would be devastated by the truth, but she couldn't deny it. She had indeed become Wang Jian's woman in return for his help in saving her entire tribe. Kung Fu's face turned red with anger as he glared at Wang Jian. Wang Jian! You dare take advantage of my daughter? Kung Fu shouted with his fury echoing inside the hall. Kung Fu charged towards Wang Jian and channeled the crimson mammoth fury within him, causing his muscles to bulge with power and his skin to turn a deep red. With a roar, he unleashed a powerful punch towards Wang Jian, intending to crush him with his enhanced strength. But Wang Jian was ready. As the punch connected with his guard, he channeled his Blue Moon Eclipse Devil bloodline, allowing him to instantly boost his own strength and agility. He dodged the punch with ease and retaliated with a swift kick that sent Kung Fu flying across the room. Kung Fu struggled to get up, his body aching from the impact. He glared at Wang Jian, realizing that his opponent was more powerful than he had ever imagined. It appears that your strength is only SOSO, Wang Jian rolled his eyes in disdain. He had actually only utilized Qi equivalent to an Origin Realm cultivator. He wanted to test the power of his bloodline. His physique had been enhanced twice by the bloodline and was considered exceptional even by demonic standards. It appeared to be true as he easily managed to knock away Kung Fu, whose tribe's unique skill provided him with great physical strength. Kung Fu gritted his teeth in frustration as he was knocked back by the force of Wang Jian's counterattack. Determined to keep fighting, he prepared to launch another powerful technique. Meanwhile, Wang Jian's gaze remained fixed on Kong Huiyan, who stood beside him in utter disbelief at the turn of events. Wang Jian's voice dripped with coldness as he spoke, "You ought to have been conscious of the fact that I have extended my mercy to him once already. You should not expect such leniency from me again. Father, please stop this. I beg of you," she pleaded. "I know that you are angry, but you cannot attack Wang Jian. It will only bring more harm to our tribe." Kung Fu looked at his daughter, his expression softening. "Huiyan, do you not understand the severity of this situation? Wang Jian has betrayed my trust. He has forced himself upon you. He must pay for what he has done. He didn't force himself on me, father. I was willing." Kong Huiyan responded softly. Kung Fu rose from his seat, his face ablaze with fury and his eyes bloodshot with anger. He fixed a scorching glare on Wang Jian before turning to face his daughter. "How could you stoop so low, Kong Huiyan? You, who is the heiress of the Crimson Mammoth tribe, actually agreed to be in an illicit relationship with this man despite having Lin Feng as your husband? How dare you be disrespectful to the war god?" Wang Jian interrupted before Kong Huiyan could respond, his voice cold and calculated. "If that's the issue, then you shouldn't be worried, Kung Fu. She has already torn her marriage contract with Lin Feng. It's not wrong for a single woman to mingle, right?" Kung Fu's fury intensified upon hearing Wang Jian's words, his eyes turning a deeper shade of red as his body trembled with rage. He could not believe that his daughter had been foolish enough to fall for the wiles of this scheming man. New N0VEL chapters are published on N0V/E/LB/IN co/M. "How dare you speak such lies?" Kung Fu roared, his voice echoing throughout the room. "My daughter would never break a marriage contract, especially not one that was signed with the war god himself as a witness. You are the one who has manipulated her, who has seduced her with your wicked ways." Kong Huiyan bowed her head in shame, her heart heavy with the weight of her father's disappointment. She knew that she had made a mistake, but she could not bring herself to regret her feelings for Wang Jian, no matter how forbidden they may be. "Father, please," she begged, her voice trembling with emotion. "I know that I have made a mistake, but I beg of you to forgive me. I cannot change the past, but I will do everything in my power to make amends for my actions. Please, return to the tribe and put this matter behind you. I cannot believe you would be so foolish as to involve yourself with this man. You have broken a sacred vow that was made before the war god himself." Kung Fu bellowed. He glared at Wang Jian and added, "I will kill this bastard and free you even if this is the last thing that I do." War god's fury. As he speaks, Kung Fu's anger reaches a boiling point. His muscles bulge with power as he channels his qi into a forbidden technique known only to the highest members of the Crimson Mammoth tribe. This technique, called the War God's Fury, allows him to give up his own life force to boost his strength and qi temporarily. As Kung Fu channels the technique, his muscles bulge and his veins pulse with power. His eyes glow with a fierce red light as he channels his life force to fuel the technique. The ground beneath him cracks as he takes a step forward, the air around him crackling with energy. The War God's Fury not only increases the power of Kung Fu's qi but also enhances his physical strength, speed, and agility to incredible levels. He becomes almost like a raging beast, his movements unpredictable and ferocious. Wang Jian's expression becomes serious as he senses the incredible power of the War God's Fury. Kong Huiyan, seeing the danger her father is in, rushes forward to plead with Wang Jian. "Please, Wang Jian," she begs, her voice trembling with emotion. "Don't kill him. I'll do anything you ask in return. Please." Wang Jian rolled his eyes in disdain as he thought, Do you think this is enough to convince me? You have already agreed to do anything I want. A sly smile did appear on his lips as he thought, if I kill Kung Fu here, it will be hard to control her. She might even kill herself in despair. If nothing else, I should prevent that from occurring. As Kung Fu charges at Wang Jian, the air around him ripples with energy and the ground trembles beneath his feet. Wang Jian raised his right fist, his knuckles gleaming with an eerie blue light. He called this punch the Moonrise Fist, and it was said to be one of the most devastating skills from his Blue Moon Eclipse Dominion Devil bloodline. As Kung Fu charged forward with his War God's Fury technique, Wang Jian stood firm, his expression serious and focused. With a sudden burst of speed, he launched his punch towards Kung Fu's midsection. The force of the impact sent shockwaves through the air, and a loud boom echoed across the room. Despite Kung Fu's impressive physical prowess, he was no match for Wang Jian's Moonrise Fist. Even though Wang Jian held back, the sheer power of the punch was enough to knock Kung Fu back several steps, leaving him gasping for air. Wang Jian's eyes flickered with a cold light as he watched Kung Fu struggle to regain his footing. He knew that if he had used the Moonrise Fist at full strength, he could have easily killed the man. But he had no desire to shed blood unnecessarily. Instead, he turned to Kong Huiyan, who was standing nearby, tears streaming down her face. I won't kill your father, he said coldly, but I suggest he leaves and doesn't return anytime soon. Kong Huiyan hurriedly went to her father's side and begged him to stop. Father, please, I beg of you. Don't do this. Think of our tribe. Think of me, she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Meanwhile, Kung Fu thought about her words with a stern face. He weighed the options in his mind and realized that if he continued to be stubborn, he would lose not only his daughter but also his tribe. He couldn't bear the thought of that. You're right. I will stop this foolishness. But, I promise I will free you from this man one day. Kung Fu said, his voice still filled with anger. Kong Huiyan instinctively turned to Wang Jian to perceive his reaction and noticed a nonchalant look on his face. He didn't seem to care about Kung Fu's threat. Are you done? Wang Jian lazily asked. Yes. Kong Huiyan responded. Good. Then you can leave, Kung Fu, Wang Jian commanded. His words truly annoyed Kung Fu, but he swallowed that frustration and left the hall. Once he left, Wang Jian stared at Kong Huiyan and spoke with a depraved grin, now that's over with, let's go to my chamber. I should get some reward for my self-control, right? Kong Huiyan's expression turned pale as she knew exactly what he planned to do. Her legs quivered as if they recalled that sensation. However, with no way to reject his advances, Kong Huiyan could only endure soundlessly. While Wang Jian was busy tormenting Kong Huiyan in his chambers, a dramatic event occurred in Night Dagger Clan's hideout. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Fin Shuang confronted her father, Fin Zhen, regarding those notes she found outside her room. Fin Zhen was utterly shocked to read those notes. He realized that it was a message sent by Wang Jian. Where did you find this? Fin Zhen was shocked. He resisted the urge to rush towards the storage where he kept these letters. I am asking if what's written on it is true or not. Fin Shuang asked indignantly. Noticing her father's failure to reply, a bad feeling arose in her heart. She clenched her fists while speaking, please say something. Say that it is a lie. Say that someone is just framing you. I can't even say those words, my dear, Fin Zhen spoke with a forced smile. What do you mean, father? Fin Shuang inquired with a frown on her face. It's a long story, my dear. Sit down. Let's start from the beginning, Fin Zhen spoke. Thus, Fin Zhen narrated the details of his secret collaboration with Wang Jian. He informed her how he was extorted and threatened into this collaboration. He further told her how Wang Jian ordered him to incite the conflict between the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Miracle Angel tribe. He told her how he was delighted to hear this order as he could use this conflict to increase the power of the Night Dagger clan in the Mellow Magnolia Woods while reducing his opponent's power. He also informed his daughter that the second reason behind his actions was so that Lin Feng would greatly prioritize her over the heiresses of the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Miracle Angel tribe. Fin Shuang was mostly satisfied to hear these words. However, she had no idea that Fin Zhen left out the parts where he assisted Wang Jian in wooing Lin Feng's women. This was the primary reason for their collaboration. And this was all going as Wang Jian anticipated. He knew that Fin Zhen wouldn't be foolish enough to reveal the entire truth to his daughter. He would definitely tweak the story a bit. What will we do if Lin Feng finds out about this? Fin Shuiying asked with a terrified tone. With a confident expression, Fin Zhen spoke, he will never find out about this. Only the two of us know of this, so how can he find out? Fin Zhen trailed off as his eyes widened in realization. It's not just us two. Fin Zhen stared at his daughter and thought of a terrifying possibility. He thought, is he involved in this? If so, what is his aim, then? I must confront him immediately about this. Fin Zhen had no idea that by this time, Lin Feng had already crossed the majority of Mellow Magnolia Woods to reach the battlefield where the three tribes had fought. The Crimson Mammoth tribe left the site to create a new hideout. Their tracks were rather fresh, with no attempts being made to conceal them. Lin Feng and Han Shifeng ran speedily to catch up to the Crimson Mammoth tribe members. As Lin Feng and Han Shifeng approached the site, the Crimson Mammoth tribe members noticed them and ran towards them. The warriors' faces lit up with joy as they saw Lin Feng, who was a respected figure in their tribe. However, as they noticed Han Shifeng, their expressions turned into confusion and suspicion. Some warriors whispered to each other, isn't she the heiress of the Miracle Angel tribe? What is she doing here with Lin Feng? They began to speculate among themselves about the reason for her presence. One warrior whispered, do you think Lin Feng is here to avenge Han Shifeng's tribe? These warriors didn't forget how they had just slaughtered the majority of members of the Miracle Angel tribe. They thought that Lin Feng was coming to get justice for Han Shifeng. However, the Crimson Mammoth warriors weren't scared. They weren't in the wrong. It was the Miracle Angel tribe who wanted to harm their heiress. Lin Feng treated the warriors with a cold and uninviting demeanor. I have come here to see Kung Fu, he stated bluntly. One of the warriors, named Lu, stepped forward and responded, Kung Fu is currently in the tribe's council hall. Follow me, and I will lead you there. Lin Feng nodded and followed Lu, with Han Shifeng following him closely, leaving the rest of the warriors behind. The group continued on their journey to the council hall, with the Crimson Mammoth warriors watching them suspiciously. Lin Feng entered the tent where Kung Fu sat waiting for him. The leader of the Crimson Mammoth tribe looked up as Lin Feng entered, his expression betraying no emotion. Lin Feng, what brings you here? Kung Fu asked, his voice stern. I'm here to discuss the recent attack on the Miracle Angel tribe, Lin Feng replied, his own voice cold. Kung Fu's eyes narrowed. The attack was justified, he said firmly. They were planning to harm my daughter. I'm aware of that, Lin Feng replied. But the attack went too far. Many innocent people were killed. As far as I am concerned, there were no innocent people among them. Kung Fu growled. It seems there is no use arguing with you, Lin Feng gritted his teeth. Yes, I was in the right. I will never forgive anyone who harms my family, no matter who he is. Kung Fu spoke with a promise of threat. Where is Kong Huiyan? I wanted to meet her. I can now treat her poison, Lin Feng spoke confidently. Kung Fu's eyes gleamed with malice. Ah, my daughter. She's not here if that's what you're wondering. She's in Wang Jian's mansion. Lin Feng's face turned to one of shock and anger. Wang Jian was his sworn enemy, and the thought of Kong Huiyan being in his mansion made him seethe with fury. What is she doing there? Lin Feng growled. Kung Fu chuckled. Isn't it obvious? I approached Wang Jian and begged him to heal her. Only the royal family could have a countermeasure to deal with that deadly poison. And as promised, my daughter is steadily recovering from that poison. Lin Feng's fists clenched in anger, but he refused to let Kung Fu see his emotions. I don't believe you. There is no way Wang Jian could treat that poison. Where is she really? Kung Fu's expression turned to one of anger. How dare you accuse me of lying? Kong Huiyan is not here, and that's final. You leave me no choice then. I didn't want to use force, but it seems you won't agree otherwise. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. Suddenly, an old man who had been sitting silently in the council hall spoke up, Lord Fu is speaking the truth. That lass is truly in Wang Jian's mansion. Moreover, there are rumors of her illicit relationship with him. Han Shifeng was in utter disbelief and shock upon hearing those words, and she struggled to find the words to express her anger and frustration. Her eyes blazed with fury as she turned to Kung Fu. Is this true? She demanded. How could your daughter do this to your tribe and to Lin Feng? And how could you, as the leader of the Crimson Mammoth tribe, let this happen? Kung Fu hung his head in shame. I didn't want to believe it either, but the rumors have been spreading throughout the tribe for some time now, he said, his voice low and regretful. I had hoped that they weren't true, but now it seems like they are. Lin Feng's eyes widened with shock and anger at the revelation. What are you saying? Wang Jian is my mortal enemy. How can Kong Huiyan be with him? He demanded. The old man sighed. I have heard it from multiple sources. These rumors are as good as confirmed. Lin Feng's voice was cold and hard as he spoke. If Kong Huiyan is indeed in Wang Jian's mansion, then I will go there and bring her back to face judgment for her actions. And as for Wang Jian, I will deal with him in due time. Kong Fu's expression turned icy. It's not your job to discipline my daughter. If I find out that you've harmed her, I'll tear you apart. His threatening words echoed in the hall, leaving Lin Feng and Han Shifeng shaken. With a derisive snort, Lin Feng turned and left the hall. He knew there was no point in arguing with the obstinate man. Lin Feng would have to confirm the rumors himself, or he wouldn't be able to rest easy. After the two left the hall, Lin Feng approached his close friends in the Crimson Mammoth tribe. These were his true comrades he had developed after several spars, and Lin Feng trusted them with his life. As Lin Feng and Han Shifeng approached them, they initially talked about random matters. Finally, Lin Feng got to the topic as he asked, is it true? Are there really rumors about Huiyan's illicit relationship with Wang Jian? You are my good friend, Feng, so I won't lie to you, a man named Wei spoke seriously. Please don't, Lin Feng assured with a smile. I personally think that the rumors are true, Wei spoke. As he noticed Lin Feng's smile dropping, he added, now, don't look at me like that. Listen to me properly. Wei then informed Lin Feng of all that occurred while he was gone. He informed Lin Feng of how long Kong Huiyan was missing. He also mentioned how Wang Jian suddenly arrived in the Crimson Mammoth tribe's hideout when most of their warriors were struck with some strange poison of the Miracle Angel tribe. It was Wang Jian who treated him of that poison. Han Shifeng let out a startled gasp as she heard this part. She now understood why the Crimson Mammoth warriors were all healthy despite a majority of them suffering from that venom. Wei informed Lin Feng how Kong Huiyan had come along with Wang Jian, and the two were basically snuggling on the chariot. Kong Huiyan wasn't even objecting to his advances. It was a strange sight for all members of the Crimson Mammoth tribe. And a day ago, the rumors of Wang Jian and Kong Huiyan spread. And right after these rumors reached the Crimson Mammoth warriors, Kung Fu visited Wang Jian's mansion. Wei had no idea of what had occurred in the mansion, but he felt that it was clear what had occurred as Kung Fu came alone. Lin Feng's countenance gradually contorted with displeasure as he continued to hear his companion's words. The maxim that truth can often be unpalatable rang true to him, and he could not deny the bitter reality of the situation that had been presented before him. In fact, there is another tidbit of gossip that has been making rounds, Wei spoke suddenly. Lin Feng's countenance turned sour as he prodded, what is it? Wei was apprehensive about divulging the information, but having brought up the subject, he could not retreat. Moreover, it was better for his comrade to be enlightened sooner rather than later. Wei took a deep breath before continuing. There's a rumor going around that Su Xian has also been seen with Wang Jian, he said, watching as Lin Feng's expression shifted from anger to shock and disbelief. What? That can't be true, Lin Feng said, his voice rising in volume. Su Xian and I have known each other since childhood. She would never do something like that. I know it's hard to believe, Wei said, placing a hand on Lin Feng's shoulder. But I've heard it from several sources. It's best if you are prepared. Lin Feng shook his head, his mind reeling. He couldn't believe that the woman he had loved for so long could betray him like this. I'll investigate it, he said, his voice flat. Wei nodded, knowing that there was nothing more he could do or say. Lin Feng was a man of action, and he would get to the bottom of this. Han Shifeng was once again shocked to know that another dear woman of Lin Feng had betrayed him for Wang Jian. She asked Wei suddenly, can you tell me about the Night Dagger clan? Since when have they been collaborating with your tribe? Wei paused as he glanced at Lin Feng's face. Lin Feng noticed his apprehensiveness and spoke, please tell us the truth. I will make sure your name never comes up. And if it does, I will protect you. Upon hearing that solemn vow, Wei spoke. According to my sources, I have a feeling that the Night Dagger clan has been collaborating with us before this battle began. They did assist the Miracle Angel tribe quite a bit, but it was all a ruse to win their trust. After they gained your trust, it was easy for them to toss you into a trap. Han Shifeng gritted her teeth as she heard those words. She knew it was a simple strategy, but the Miracle Angel tribe still fell for it. All the warriors of the Miracle Angel tribe are dead. Only weak women and children were left in the Miracle Angel tribe's hideout. Even a local bandit gang could take over that hideout without major losses. Those backstabbing bastards. I will never rest until I make them pay for their actions. Han Shifeng's hatred boosted greatly upon hearing Wei's words. Let's go, said Han Shifeng as she turned in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng agreed with her. They could do nothing from here. After leaving the Crimson Mammoth tribe's hideout, Han Shifeng and Lin Feng began discussing their next course of action. How do you think we should proceed? If what your friend said is true, then Kong Huiyan and Su Xian have already fallen in Wang Jian's clutches, Han Shifeng spoke. I need to personally verify it, Lin Feng spoke with a sharp glint in his eyes. I hope Shu Ying hasn't fallen for him. That would be terrible, Han Shifeng spoke with a cunning gleam in her eyes. Lin Feng didn't respond to her words, but he feared the same. In the meantime, Wang Jian had finished having fun with Kong Huiyan. As the two lay naked on the bed, Kong Huiyan asked him, You really are a beast. The battle on the bed had been intense. Wang Jian had forced her to do many humiliating poses, including a cowgirl position, fucking her from behind, a blowjob, titty fuck, and many more. I will take that as a compliment, Wang Jian chuckled. You still haven't healed my poison. I hope you don't forget that in your fun, Kong Huiyan spoke coldly. You updates tnvel/by.com. Oh, that. I did forget about it. Thanks for reminding me of it, Wang Jian acted genuinely surprised. He raised his arm, and his qi flooded Kong Huiyan's body. Kong Huiyan felt this qi injected into her veins forcibly. This qi gathered all that venom within her blood and guided it towards a specific spot near the veins in her arm. A slight cut appeared on her arm, and this devil venom spurted out of it. It gushed at an unbelievable speed that Kong Huiyan found inconceivable. What? Didn't you need to use those meridian points on my chest? Kong Huiyan inquired with a shocked expression. Wang Jian rolled his eyes nonchalantly. Come on, don't act so surprised. You should have realized by now that it was all a ruse to take advantage of you. Otherwise, how could I touch, pinch, and even squeeze that wonderful chest? Actually, I could do it by forcing myself upon you. But where is the fun in that? It's fun only if I get your permission, Wang Jian spoke. Why you think this is a game? Kong Huiyan spoke with a shocked expression. Wang Jian responded casually, well, how else would you describe yourself? You are just a game to me. I hope you don't become boring for me. See ya, my dear. After saying those words, Wang Jian left his chambers. Just as he was heading towards the hall, a maid approached him with an urgent look on her face. Sir, Su Xian wanted to meet you. A smile appeared on Wang Jian's face. Oh really? Lead me to her. Very soon, the two arrived in Su Xian's chambers. However, before even entering her chambers, a smile broke out on Wang Jian's face as he sensed an interesting thing. Ah, Jian, you have finally arrived, Su Xian greeted Wang Jian with an intimate tone. It was expected, after all, that Wang Jian had elevated her status from a mere servant to one of his cherished companions. Excellent. I intended to pay you a visit, my dear. And it seems that you have some good news for me, Wang Jian replied, his lips curving into a sly smile. Oh, it's nothing really significant. I merely advanced to the Origin Realm, Su Xian spoke with an attempt at nonchalance, but her voice betrayed her excitement. With a chuckle, Wang Jian pulled Su Xian into his arms and caressed her hair while holding her close. If advancing to the Origin Realm were so easy, then the cultivators stuck at the peak of the Spirit Realm should just kill themselves, he remarked, his voice laced with a hint of amusement. Hee hee. Su Xian giggled upon hearing his words. She was happy to receive his recognition. This was exactly what she wanted. You really worked hard. It seems you are serious about becoming an important woman for me, Wang Jian whispered lovingly as he planted light kisses on her neck. His right hand was already caressing her lovely buttocks and sometimes even squeezing it. Su Xian moaned while her hands roamed all over Wang Jian's torso. She inhaled his scent, and a sudden frown appeared on her face. Why do you have such a strong scent of a woman on you? Su Xian inquired suddenly. Wang Jian smiled after hearing this question. Why don't you take a guess? With a frown, Su Xian asked, was it that woman? Kong Huiyan? Amazing. You guessed it perfectly. You really are sharp, Wang Jian spoke. So, that is why you didn't visit me yesterday and the day before? Su Xian asked enviously. Wang Jian responded, yes. He didn't have to lie to Su Xian about it, as he had nothing to fear. She must be very good. Otherwise, she couldn't have wrapped you around her finger like that, Su Xian spoke bitterly. New toys are very exciting. But only for a certain period. I get bored of them soon, Wang Jian responded. So, she is like a toy to you? Su Xian asked. Obviously. You think I will love her. It will take effort to make me love someone. Effort and dedication that matches yours, Wang Jian stated. You love me? Su Xian was flabbergasted to hear this revelation. With a sly smile, Wang Jian responded, not yet. You need to step up your game, or you will lose me. Su Xian cutely pouted upon hearing those words. I will do my best, Su Xian spoke. Good. You can go and read all the cultivation or martial techniques available in the martial hall. I don't want you to be a paper tiger that only has cultivation with no skills to back it up, Wang Jian spoke with a solemn tone. Thank you. Su Xian spoke earnestly. She knew that this was a huge deal. It meant Wang Jian truly trusted her. Actually, Wang Jian had ulterior motives behind giving her this reward. He knew her physique, the innate energy vessel, was quite special. Her cultivation was extremely quick compared to her peers, and her pool of qi was much larger as well. If she combines her talent with an appropriate cultivation technique and martial skills, she will be a force to reckon with. Start from the basics and make sure to read all about the martial arts and even about cultivation. I heard that you had a good memory and excelled in theory subjects in the academy. Don't disappoint me, Wang Jian speaks. I won't disappoint you, Jian. Su Xian spoke. She then tiptoed and lightly kissed Wang Jian's lips before freeing herself from his tight embrace and heading towards the martial hall. Wang Jian had a bright smile on his face as he saw her reaction. He then decided to check out the system notifications he had received. And Wang Jian was startled as this time he had received almost 70,000 destiny points. 50,000 destiny points were received from Kong Huiyan, while the rest 20,000 were split evenly between Lin Feng and Su Xian. Wang Jian was shocked because Kong Huiyan was no longer a virgin as he had sex with her. So, he was puzzled about why he would receive so many points from her. However, as he read the system's notifications properly, he understood the reasons. It was all because Wang Jian had sex with Kong Huiyan in so many new ways, which greatly humiliated her. Each one was worse than the last one. The blowjob and the titty-fuck earned him a huge amount of destiny points. It seems she is still a fat sheep. Hee hee. Wang Jian whispered with a depraved smile as he thought of more ways he could enjoy that luscious body. Wang Jian continued to read the notifications regarding the destiny points he earned from Lin Feng and Su Xian. Your F48 stories on /o/v/lbn.cm. The reason for earning destiny points from Su Xian was rather simple. It was all because of her submissiveness. Her happiness to be with Wang Jian. The notifications that truly caught Wang Jian's interest were the ones regarding Lin Feng. Congratulations, host. You have successfully affected protagonist Lin Feng's mentality. You are awarded with 1,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. You have successfully destroyed protagonist Lin Feng's mentality. You are awarded with 1,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. You have successfully broken protagonist Lin Feng and Kong Fu's relationship. You are awarded with 3,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. You have successfully shocked protagonist Lin Feng to the core. You are awarded with 1,000 destiny points. There were a couple more notifications similar to these. It made Wang Jian realize that Lin Feng must have heard the rumors. And considering how one of the notifications mentioned that Lin Feng and Kong Fu's relationship had broken, it was easy to guess Lin Feng's location. He must have visited the Crimson Mammoth Warriors and came to know the truth. Name, Wang Jian. Age, 20 years old. Destiny points, 134,770. Cultivation, first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique, Soaring Dragon Technique, level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills, Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moonshadow Step, Shadow Manipulation, Dark Fog, Eclipse Domain Annihilation, and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline, Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. Second level, next level, 500,000. Physique, Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit, Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses, Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Upgrade the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Wang Jian instantly felt a strange energy seeping into his mind. His cultivation technique worked automatically and powered up the Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra technique. Pretty soon, the technique advanced to the King Realm. Now, Wang Jian didn't need to be worried about any strange outbursts due to his devil blood. All right. It's time to meet Fin Jian, Wang Jian whispered to himself. As the sun began to set, Wang Jian prepared to depart for the Night Dagger clan's hideout. Eager to meet with Fin General, he had already made the necessary arrangements and had Kong Huiyan, his maid, accompany him on this journey. As they approached the golden chariot, Kong Huiyan couldn't help but feel humiliated by the situation. Being treated as a mere servant was not something she was accustomed to, but she had no other choice than to do as Wang Jian ordered. Once on the chariot, Wang Jian sat at the seat prepared for him while he had Kong Huiyan sit on his lap as he hugged her voluptuous body. The ride was smooth, thanks to the skilled driver who handled the chariot with ease, gliding through the uneven terrain with minimal effort. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky painted itself with shades of orange and pink. The chariot continued its journey, and the sky slowly turned darker, the stars beginning to twinkle in the sky. Wang Jian sat deep in thought, pondering about the impending meeting with Fin Jian, while Kong Huiyan sat quietly, her mind preoccupied with her current predicament. Finally, after a few hours of travel, the chariot came to a halt. They had arrived at the Night Dagger clan's hideout. As Wang Jian's chariot approached the Night Dagger clan's hideout, the members had already caught a glimpse of it from afar. One of them immediately informed Fin Jian of the arrival, and he couldn't help but feel a foul mood creeping over him. He had kept his collaboration with Wang Jian a secret from the rest of the clan, especially his daughter Fin Shuiying, who had accidentally discovered it. However, with no other choice, Fin Jian stepped out to meet Wang Jian. His eyes widened in surprise as he saw Kong Huiyan sitting on Wang Jian's lap in an intimate position. His shock was evident as he realized that Wang Jian had truly made Kong Huiyan submit to him. The sourc of this content n/o/v/l/by-n. Wang Jian's lips curled into a mischievous smile as he caught sight of Fin Jian's bewildered expression. With a quick flick of his wrist, he let go of Kong Huiyan, who had been sitting on his lap in an intimate position. His voice was low and formal as he addressed the Night Dagger clan's leader. "I come with a proposition for an alliance, Fin Jian," Wang Jian said, his tone grave and solemn. Fin Jian's eyes narrowed as he scrutinized Wang Jian, wondering what kind of scheme he was concocting. Nevertheless, he sensed an opportunity in the air, a chance to keep their collaboration hidden from prying eyes. "Very well," Fin Jian said, masking his suspicion with a cool facade. "Let us adjourn inside, Lord Wang. We have much to discuss." As they entered the grand hall, Wang Jian looked around, taking in the surroundings. Fin Jian led the way towards the center, where the tribe elders were sitting, discussing their matters. They turned to look as they entered, but their faces were soon masked in confusion upon seeing Wang Jian. Fin Jian cleared his throat and spoke in a formal tone, "These are the elders of my tribe." After they left, Wang Jian took a seat on the grand throne-like chair while Fin Jian sat opposite to him on a much lower seat. Kong Huiyan stood behind Wang Jian as if she were a loyal servant. Wang Jian cleared his throat and began, "I came today to discuss a possible alliance with you." "Why so suddenly? And what will the Night Dagger clan get in return for accepting this alliance?" Fin Jian responded, his voice calm and clear. Wang Jian chuckled, "You really know how to joke, Fin General. My authority is clearly superior compared to the Night Dagger clan, so it should be me who gets something, not your clan. However, I wouldn't demand anything from you because you did help me quite a bit through that secret collaboration." Fin Jian was taken aback at the directness of Wang Jian's words. He looked towards Kong Huiyan, who had her head bowed. Even she had her eyes widened upon hearing this information. To think that the Night Dagger clan was colluding with Wang Jian. I had hoped that this information would remain confidential, Fin Zhen replied, his voice low and tense. Wang Jian spoke, oh, Fin Zhen, you know better than to trust anyone with secrets. But don't worry. I'm here to help you keep it hidden. Fin Zhen gritted his teeth, feeling trapped. He knew that he was in no position to refuse Wang Jian's offer. He leaned forward and spoke indignantly, why are you forcing this on me? Didn't we agree to not contact each other? Wang Jian reclined in his seat, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. The tides have turned. Lin Feng has made his return and has already had an encounter with Han Shifeng, he announced. Fin Zhen was dumbfounded by the news. How is that possible? He exclaimed, his eyes widening in disbelief. Wang Jian responded calmly, I don't know. It seems their meeting was purely coincidental. Fin Zhen's face turned grim as he processed the information. He was well aware that Han Shifeng's hatred for the Night Dagger clan must run deep due to the recent events. That bitch must have turned Lin Feng against us, Fin Zhen said indignantly. That's why I have come to present you with this solution. Instead of secretly supporting each other, I guess it's time our factions ally openly, Wang Jian suggested. Fin Zhen was forced into silence upon hearing those words. He couldn't help but stare at Kong Huyen for some time before adding, but my reason for secretly collaborating with you is to grab Lin Feng's entire attention for my daughter. If I do get into an alliance with you, Lin Feng will definitely break all connections with my clan. Wang Jian let out a low chuckle, a knowing glint in his eyes as he spoke, resolving your issues, Fin Zhen, is not as daunting a task as you might think. In fact, the Night Dagger clan would be able to reap the best of both worlds. Kong Huyen's curiosity was piqued by Wang Jian's words. Though she could surmise the gist of their conversation, she remained oblivious to the solution he had up his sleeve, one that would bestow such lucrative benefits upon the Night Dagger clan. Wang Jian proceeded to elaborate on his proposal, his voice low and measured. Lin Feng will inevitably come to the Night Dagger clan, sooner or later. If not for you, then for your daughter. Meet him and inform him that I coerced you into this alliance. Tell your daughter the same, and she will do the rest. If he meets her first and hears the same story, he should believe her. And once he hears this information, he will undoubtedly seek you out for answers. Fin Zhen listened intently, nodding along to Wang Jian's words. The plan seemed like an effective strategy to convince Lin Feng that the Night Dagger clan was forced into this alliance. You can then persuade him that I forced your hand into this alliance. Additionally, you can ask him to accept your daughter, as she had no involvement in the Miracle Angel tribe's demise. You know him better than I do. He is not the sort of person to bring harm to his wife's tribe. Fin Zhen mulled over the idea, his face serious as he considered the risks and benefits. On the one hand, it would ensure the safety and prosperity of his clan. But on the other hand, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was betraying his daughter's trust by involving her in such a deceitful ploy. Kong Huyen's eyes widened in disbelief as Wang Jian explained his meticulous plan. It's no wonder he was able to trap my father and me. Wang Jian caught a glimpse of her reaction from the corner of his eye and couldn't help but feel gratified. It was an indescribable feeling whenever he witnessed someone so flabbergasted by his cleverness. So, what do you say to this alliance, Fin Zhen? Wang Jian inquired. It seems good for me. But what do you get out of this alliance? Fin Zhen asked. I get to ask you to conduct tasks for me. There are some tasks that your clan is perfect for. I am sure you know what tasks I am talking about, Wang Jian stated with a sly grin. Fin Zhen nodded calmly and spoke, very well, I agree to this alliance. Read latest chapters at no.vel.bin/c/o/m only. Good, Wang Jian spoke. Wang Jian's lips curled into a sly smile, since we are now allies, let me offer you another valuable piece of advice. After our alliance is made known, you should pay Lin Feng a visit before he has the chance to come to you. Of course, you cannot make this move too hastily. Wait a few days before making your appearance. Fin Zhen was visibly pleased with Wang Jian's second suggestion, and his earlier misgivings about the alliance had vanished. All right. That's all I came to say. I will now take my leave, Wang Jian spoke. You can visit any time you want. We are officially in an alliance, Fin Zhen spoke with a grin. With a nod, Wang Jian left the hall with Kong Huyen following him closely. As Wang Jian left, Fin Zhen's grin morphed into a puzzled expression. He was truly confused at this point. In this meeting, Fin Zhen could glean that Wang Jian genuinely wanted him to have Lin Feng's support. If so, then who could have written that letter? And how did it reach his daughter? These became mysteries that Fingen had no answers to. Fingen, however, didn't pay these mysteries much heed as he gathered the elders and informed them of this news. He also began preparations to broadcast this news in the entire Jinwan region. He wanted Lin Feng to hear this news quickly. In the meantime, Lin Feng and Han Shifeng were confined to the Miracle Angel tribe's lair, with no other options available. After leaving the Crimson Mammoth tribe's lair, they weighed various courses of action, but Han Shifeng remained deeply concerned for her tribe's well-being. Having lost so many powerful cultivators, the tribe was vulnerable to any new threats that might arise. Thus, the two of them arrived at the tribe's lair, ruminating on how best to proceed. Perhaps I could stealthily infiltrate Wang Jian's grand estate and have a clandestine meeting with them, Lin Feng suggested, his voice laced with uncertainty. Han Shifeng quickly dissented. Wang Jian's abode is safeguarded by a plethora of sentinels and detectors. The instant you enter their radar, you'll be exposed. You won't have a chance to converse with them. Lin Feng sighed. You are right. Blast. What options do I have? For now, it's best we wait for an opportunity, Han Shifeng suggested. Lin Feng clenched his fists upon hearing that advice, but what other option did he have? Suddenly, he recalled that command seal Jean Meixiang had given him. Lin Feng had a feeling that Jean Meixiang must belong to an important clan, or else she couldn't have entered this restricted region and then left it. Maybe I can use it to leave this region as well. The guards over the restricted area could let him pass if he showed them this command seal. It will be easy to defeat that bastard Wang Jian if I get Sister Mei's assistance, Lin Feng thought. However, he didn't take this decision till now because he knew that it would be impossible to convince Han Shifeng to leave her tribe and this region. Darn it! I can only wait for an opportunity. The sun rose and set, the stars twinkled in the sky, and the cool breeze rustled the leaves of the trees around him. Before he knew it, 2 days had already passed. On this particular day, Han Shifeng took a trip to the village market to acquire the essential supplies for her tribe. While strolling through the village, she came across a rumor concerning the Night Dagger clan's association with Wang Jian. As she heard this news, Han Shifeng's eyes grew inflamed with anger, yet there was also a hint of exhilaration in her gaze, as she felt that this information might provoke Lin Feng into taking decisive action. Something that would potentially bring harm to the Night Dagger clan. She quickly rushed back to the tribe. Unknown to her, some shadowy figures had seen her. In fact, these people made sure she came across this news. After completing their task, they rushed to inform their master of this news. Brother Feng. I came across terrible news. The Night Dagger clan has joined hands with Wang Jian. Han Shifeng spoke. What? Lin Feng bellowed in shock. Meanwhile, the other members of the Miracle Angel tribe gritted their teeth in anger. I knew that tribe was up to no good. They even formed an alliance with our Holy Sun's hated enemy. One of the Miracle Angel tribe members spoke in frustration. Humph. Their greed knows no bounds. To think they would even betray the Holy Sun's trust like that. Meanwhile, Lin Feng couldn't help but clench his fists in anger. Damn it. Just what is going on? Han Shifeng observed his reaction and couldn't help but frown. She thought he would be angry enough to immediately go and destroy the Night Dagger clan. Didn't I mention it to you earlier? Shuaying must have also given herself away to Wang Jian. This alliance could be a prelude to their relationship announcement, Han Shifeng spoke. Shut it! Lin Feng shouted instinctively. I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, Han Shifeng sobbed as she spoke. Lin Feng's heart softened as he saw her sobbing. He spoke, I wasn't angry at you, my dear. It's just that I can't believe Shuaying would betray me. But then what is this alliance? Why wouldn't Shuaying be opposed to it? Han Shifeng asked indignantly. I don't know. But my intuition says that she isn't a part of this, Lin Feng responded softly. All right. If you say so, Han Shifeng rolled her eyes as she left the lair. If she remained with Lin Feng any longer, Han Shifeng would explode and reveal her true thoughts. She needed to regain her composure and consider the situation logically. Han Shifeng decided to take a leisurely walk through the mellow magnolia woods, keeping close to her tribe's lair. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the trees, asking a sinister question, Do you thirst for retribution? The eerie and mysterious voice caught Han Shifeng off guard, causing her to jump in surprise. What? If you want vengeance, then come and beg me. Your wish will be fulfilled at an appropriate cost, the voice spoke. Han Shifeng immediately turned and rushed towards her hideout. Meanwhile, Wang Jian had a sinister smile on his face as he witnessed her reaction. This was going all according to the plan. A few days later, Fin Zhen arrived outside the Miracle Angel tribe's lair with a small group of his loyal guards. In fact, he had set up a camp near the lair, hidden behind a cluster of large rocks and trees. He had sent a letter to the Miracle Angel tribe, which stated his desire to meet Lin Feng. Lin Feng initially frowned upon hearing of this letter and felt inclined to visit the camp. However, the entire Miracle Angel tribe was in an uproar. How dare this devious clan to have the guts to come so close to our tribe? They really don't put us in their eyes. Let's fight them. If we die, so be it. I am opposed to this. If we fight these bastards, our children will suffer the after effects. We can't leave them alone. But what should we do? How long should we endure this humiliation? While the entire tribe was raging, Han Shifeng was also affected by her tribe members' emotions. She stared at Lin Feng while thinking profoundly that it would be best if he enacted vengeance on her tribe's behalf. Only Lin Feng possessed the power to enact vengeance on their behalf. However, Lin Feng showed a puzzled expression. It didn't seem as though he was in favor of harming the Night Dagger clan yet. I will visit the Night Dagger clan and see what they have to say, Lin Feng suddenly spoke. Holy Son, it will be dangerous if you go alone. There is no telling what those devious bastards are planning. I can take care of myself. And this is my final decision. Lin Feng spoke decisively. Han Shifeng approached Lin Feng with a heavy heart and whispered, "Be careful." I will be. Very soon, Lin Feng left the Miracle Angel tribe's lair to meet Fin General as he entered the camp. The guards led him straight to Fin Zhen's tent and left. Lin Feng's heart was pounding with anticipation as he met with Fin Zhen. Father-in-law, how is Fin Shuiing? Lin Feng asked anxiously, his mind racing with thoughts of his beloved fiancée. Ed new chapter s on no/v/e/ln.com. She has been missing you quite a bit these past few days. She's worried about you, Fin Zhen replied with a reassuring smile. Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief upon hearing that his fiancée was doing well. Thank you for telling me, father-in-law. I appreciate it. Fin Zhen then explained to Lin Feng that the alliance with Wang Jian was not their idea but was forced upon them. We had no choice. Wang Jian is a very powerful man, and we couldn't afford to cross him. But know that our loyalty to you has not wavered. Lin Feng's disappointment was evident on his face as he spoke. I understand the situation, father-in-law, but the Night Dagger clan's actions in the battle were unjust. You betrayed the Miracle Angel tribe at the last moment and joined hands with the Crimson Mammoth tribe. This is not something I can forgive easily. Fin Zhen hung his head in shame. I know, son-in-law. We were wrong to do that. But please believe me when I say that this was the only way I could see the tribe's prosperity. If the Miracle Angel tribe had won the battle against the Crimson Mammoth tribe, it would have changed the power dynamics greatly. Without the presence of the Crimson Mammoth tribe, it would have been difficult to keep the beasts in the northern region of Mellow Magnolia Woods in check. Once the Crimson Mammoth tribe is destroyed, the next target of the beasts would be my clan. I couldn't allow my clan members to face such a calamity. Lin Feng remained unconvinced, but he knew he couldn't push the matter further at the moment. I understand, father-in-law. But please remember that Wang Jian is my enemy. I will not rest until I have brought him to justice. Fin Zhen nodded in agreement. I understand, my son. We will do everything in our power to support you. Lin Feng was relieved to hear Fin Zhen's words and visibly relaxed. The two continued their conversation as Fin Zhen began to talk about some random topics. He wanted to keep his relationship with Lin Feng cordial, so he had naturally come prepared. Fin Zhen even brought some of his clan's heirlooms. A cloak, dagger, and light shoes. Lin Feng was delighted to test them all. And without him realizing it, a couple of hours passed. As the hours passed, the members of the Miracle Angel tribe grew increasingly restless. They began to speculate amongst themselves, wondering why Lin Feng had not returned yet. Some feared that the Night Dagger clan had harmed him, while others worried that he might have been taken hostage. In the corner of the tribe, a group of young warriors whispered amongst themselves, their voices hushed and filled with concern. What do you think is taking him so long? One of them asked. I don't know, another replied, but I fear for his safety. The Night Dagger clan is not to be trusted. A few of the older members of the tribe, who had seen more battles than the younger ones, tried to reassure them. Lin Feng is a skilled warrior, one of them said. He knows how to take care of himself. We should have faith in him. But their words did little to assuage the younger members' fears. They continued to fret and speculate, wondering what could be taking Lin Feng so long to return. As Han Shifeng listened to the discussions of the Miracle Angel tribe members, her heart filled with unease. She knew that Lin Feng was a smart man, but the Night Dagger clan was notorious for their treachery. What if they had persuaded him to switch sides? What if he had already pledged his allegiance to them? The very thought sent a chill down her spine. If Lin Feng turned to the Night Dagger clan, all hope of avenging the fallen warriors of the Miracle Angel tribe would be lost. She had sworn an oath to avenge their deaths, and she would do whatever it took to make that happen. Han Shifeng clenched her fists, her eyes blazing with fierce determination. She wouldn't let anyone stand in her way, not even Lin Feng. At this moment, Han Shifeng recalled that voice in the woods. She remembered that location perfectly. No. I shouldn't believe that suspicious voice. What if it's a ruse? Moreover, it mentioned a certain price. What if the price is the lives of all my tribe members? No, I can't trust it. Buried deep within Han Shifeng's heart, there was a flicker of hope that Lin Feng would return with a burning fury directed towards the Night Dagger clan. It was a nearly impossible prospect, yet Han Shifeng could not help but cling to it with all her might. Han Shifeng's current state of mind can be attributed to a psychological phenomenon called confirmatory bias. This is when people tend to seek out information that confirms their beliefs while disregarding evidence that contradicts them. In Han Shifeng's case, she desperately wants to believe that Lin Feng will return and the Night Dagger clan will get what they deserve. Despite the slim chance of this happening, she is likely to interpret information in a way that supports this belief. This reinforces her belief and makes it harder for her to consider other possibilities. After several hours, Lin Feng returned to the lair. He was immediately surrounded by the tribe's members. They bombarded him with questions about how the meeting went and what was discussed, but Lin Feng simply gave vague and empty responses. The tribe members exchanged frustrated glances and began to push him for more information. But before they could get any further, Han Shifeng appeared and ordered them not to disturb him. Leave him be, she said firmly. Lin Feng needs rest after that long meeting. The tribe members reluctantly backed off but still looked dissatisfied with the situation. Han Shifeng then took Lin Feng to a secluded location, away from the prying eyes of the tribe members. Get your Avrite Ovals at no/v/e/lbn.com. Lin Feng, what happened? She asked him, her voice softening. It was a long discussion, and Finjen revealed some important information, replied Lin Feng, still sounding distant. Like what? Asked Han Shifeng, her eyes narrowing slightly. Night Dagger clan didn't really betray us. They had no choice but to ally with Wang Jian as that bastard had threatened them into it. And as for betraying the Miracle Angel tribe, it was to prevent the beasts in the north from reaching his clan. As Lin Feng spoke, Han Shifeng's eyes turned red as she bellowed, bullshit. The Night Dagger clan has many hideouts. They could have easily relocated to another hideout and saved themselves from the beasts. Yes. I also wasn't convinced by this reasoning. However, Shifeng, Finjen still swore loyalty to me. Han Shifeng muttered, what use is that bogus allegiance? Lin Feng put a hand on her shoulder. I know it's hard to accept, but we have to be realistic. We can't fight against the whole world. Our primary enemy is Wang Jian, and we require all the help to take him down. Han Shifeng looked up at Lin Feng with a mixture of sadness and anger in her eyes, but at what cost, Lin Feng? The lives of my tribe members were sacrificed for nothing. Lin Feng shook his head, I understand, Shifeng. But you must endure. I can punish them for you once we take down Wang Jian. Han Shifeng's mind raged upon hearing those words, and she instinctively clenched her fists. But she didn't want to show these emotions to Lin Feng, so she put on a brave front and nodded, I understand, Lin Feng. I won't let my emotions cloud my judgment. Lin Feng gave her a small smile of appreciation. That's my girl. As Lin Feng reached out to take Han Shifeng's hand, he intended to lead her for a romantic stroll in the serene surroundings. However, to his surprise, Han Shifeng abruptly withdrew her hand and hastened away from the spot. The abruptness of her departure left Lin Feng befuddled and hurt, wondering if there was something he had done wrong. The once peaceful and picturesque location now seemed somber and desolate to him as he watched Han Shifeng's silhouette disappear into the distance. Han Shifeng's heart was shattered into a million pieces as she realized that all her hopes for revenge were futile. The last flicker of hope she held onto was now snuffed out, and she was left in despair. She could see it in Lin Feng's eyes. He had no intentions of seeking retribution for her tribe's fallen warriors. It seemed as though he had forgiven the Night Dagger clan, and Han Shifeng believed that he didn't care about their treacherous actions anymore. As Han Shifeng continued to brood over her thoughts, they took a dark turn. She thought of ways to avenge her tribe, even if it meant using the most despicable means. Her angelic wings suddenly appeared on her back, and they began to darken as if reflecting the darkness that had taken hold of her heart. She had always been the epitome of grace and kindness, but the betrayal of her tribe and the perceived apathy of her fiancé had driven her to a dark place. Her thoughts turned to revenge, and she began to envision the destruction of the Night Dagger clan. The more she dwelled on these thoughts, the more her wings darkened until they were no longer the pure white they once were. Han Shifeng knew that these thoughts were not right, but she couldn't stop them. She felt a surge of power within her as if the darkness that had taken over her heart was now empowering her. She knew that she had to rein in these thoughts before they consumed her completely, but she couldn't resist the temptation of revenge. With a heavy heart, Han Shifeng finally managed to calm herself down. She looked at her wings, which were now a shade of gray, and sighed. She knew that she had to find another way to deal with the Night Dagger clan, one that did not involve becoming a monster herself. At this moment, she recalled that voice again. What if that voice was telling the truth? Can I get my vengeance if I trust that voice? Han Shifeng wondered aloud. Naturally, she was curious how that voice seemed to know of her predicament. However, this curiousness was far too little compared to her desire for vengeance. All right. I will take this risk, Han Shifeng spoke while clenching her fist. Her feet moved quickly as she headed towards the spot where she had initially heard the voice. I have come. I need your help to get my vengeance. Han Shifeng shouted. A mysterious voice resounded after a few seconds, very good. Then you should be ready to pay the price of this task. What is it? Han Shifeng asked. I want you to sign this binding contract, the voice responded. As Han Shifeng's eyes scanned the yellowish scroll, her heart pounded with anxiety. She knew that whatever was written on this piece of paper could potentially change the course of her life forever. As she read through the binding agreement, she could feel her palms getting sweaty and her breath getting shallow. The demand written on the scroll was outrageous and sinister, and Han Shifeng couldn't help but feel a sense of disgust at the person who had written it. This binding agreement stated that in exchange for Fin Zhen and his entourage's lives, Han Shifeng had to secretly spread the news that Lin Feng killed them. What kind of demand is this? She exclaimed, her voice shaking with disbelief and anger. But as soon as she finished speaking, a cold voice replied, this is my only condition. Agree to that, and I will immediately head to kill Fin Zhen. Han Shifeng couldn't help but begin to overthink at this moment. Was this really happening? Was she actually being given a chance to avenge her tribe? But then, doubts started creeping in. Could she really trust this person? What if it was a trap? What if she ended up being betrayed? She couldn't help but hesitate, her mind racing with conflicting thoughts. What's wrong? The voice asked impatiently. Do you want to avenge your tribe or not? Han Shifeng felt a pang of anger at the person's tone, but she knew that this was her only chance. With a deep breath, she made a decision. I agree, she said, her voice steady despite the tumultuous emotions inside her. Then sign the contract with your blood. Han Shifeng bit her thumb, and blood instantly gushed out of it. She signed the contract with a heavy heart. As she signed that sinister contract, she felt a strange sensation in her back. Looking over her shoulder, she gasped in horror as she saw her angelic wings darken and turn into a deep shade of black. What had she just done? What kind of path was she embarking on? The weight of her decision began to settle heavily on her shoulders, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding about what was to come. Interesting. I never expected to see fallen angel wings here. It seems that this woman's bloodline is closely related to the true angel bloodline, Wang Jian thought as he gazed at Han Shifeng's dark wings. The true angel bloodline that Han Shifeng possessed actually possessed two paths. One was the holy path, whose branch was known as the sacred angel bloodline, while the other was the demonic path and its branch was known as the fallen angel bloodline. The miracle angel tribe possessed the sacred angel bloodline, so Han Shifeng's bloodline shouldn't have transformed into the fallen angel bloodline like that. The only possible reason Wang Jian could think of was that Han Shifeng's bloodline was very pure and could nearly rival the true angel bloodline. And her emotions had darkened enough, which resulted in her bloodline transforming. Naturally, this transformation wasn't merely of the wings. Dies Coover dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. Her once pure bloodline holy angel physique began to transform. Her skin, already fair and luminous, took on an almost ethereal glow, radiating an otherworldly beauty. As her body mutated into a fallen angel, dark chi began to leak out of her, giving her an ominous aura that could send shivers down anyone's spine. Her once slender frame became even more so, with her curves becoming more pronounced, causing her to appear more attractive to men. Her clothes now clung to her body in a way that was almost seductive, revealing just enough to leave the mind to wonder. Despite the transformation, her hair remained the same vibrant shade of black as before, cascading down her back in luxurious waves. Her eyes, still the same piercing shade of brown, now had a dark tint to them that made them even more mesmerizing. As her transformation began, Wang Jian had no choice but to come out of hiding and shroud that massive qi. He knew that if this dark qi continued to gush out of her body, Lin Feng would soon detect it. Once he discovers something is wrong, he would immediately head to this location. Although Wang Jian wasn't afraid of Lin Feng, he was still a bit mindful of their confrontation. He felt that it wasn't time to confront Lin Feng just yet. It was crucial that he concealed his presence to execute his plan perfectly. Wang Jian was rather impressed as he witnessed Han Shifeng's transformation. He received a notification on the system. Congratulations, host. Your schemes have completely transformed heroine Han Shifeng's mentality and forced a bloodline mutation. You received 20,000 destiny points. That wasn't all. Han Shifeng's cultivation actually advanced to the origin realm after successfully becoming a fallen angel. After 3 hours, Han Shifeng slowly stirred awake. Her head throbbed painfully as she opened her eyes. At first, her vision was blurry, but as her gaze sharpened, a flash of silver caught her attention. Her eyes traced the source of the glimmer, settling on a man with a head of lustrous silver hair and piercing blue irises that held a calm and serene demeanor. As she struggled to sit up, she found herself locked in the man's intense gaze. He appeared to be studying her, and Han Shifeng couldn't help but feel a rush of unease at the intensity of his scrutiny. She swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry, and spoke softly, "Who are you?" Wang Jian's response was as swift as a well-aimed arrow. "The owner of that binding contract," he replied, his voice carrying the weight of authority. Han Shifeng's heart leapt into her throat. She had anticipated an aged warrior to be the holder of such power, but the young man before her belied that assumption. His piercing blue gaze was cool and collected, belying his apparent youthfulness. "Surely, you cannot be a Lord Realm warrior," Han Shifeng stammered in disbelief, her eyes scanning his handsome features for any indication of deception. Despite her skepticism, she was struck by the sense of power that emanated from Wang Jian, like an aura that pulsed from deep within him. Wang Jian's expression remained placid, though Han Shifeng detected a hint of amusement in his eyes. "Looks can be deceiving," he said simply, leaving her to ponder his enigmatic words. Han Shifeng's curiosity got the better of her, and she asked, "If you don't mind me asking, what is your name?" "Wang Jian," came his calm reply. For a moment, Han Shifeng was speechless. Her eyes widened, and her arm shot out, pointing directly at him. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out, leaving her gasping for breath. The shock of the revelation was almost too much for her to handle. Her mind raced, trying to process the information. How could this be? How could the owner of that contract be this man? The man who is Lin Feng's greatest enemy. "Although your reaction is amusing, you can close your mouth now," Wang Jian spoke. "How? Why? What are you doing here?" Han Shifeng asked. "I was keeping an eye on Fin General after discovering that he was on his way to meet Lin Feng. I made up my mind to kill him. Once I did, I recalled that there was someone who might wish to see him dead even more than me. So, I came here to set up this deal with you." Han Shifeng's eyes widened as she listened to Wang Jian's explanation. "How could you be here whenever I wanted?" she asked, still in shock. "You weren't hiding in this area all this time, right?" Wang Jian let out a small chuckle, the corners of his lips curving up into a smirk. "Hee, trade secret," he replied cryptically. But the truth was that Wang Jian had used his shadow manipulation skill to set up a shadow clone in the area. The clone wasn't very useful in battle, but it allowed Wang Jian to manage multiple locations at once. He conducted the entire deal with Han Shifeng using this clone. The clone even erected a veil around Han Shifeng's body while her body was mutating, concealing her dark qi. Once the shadow clone had set up the veil, it contacted its real body, and Wang Jian headed towards the spot at his quickest pace. I will be on my way now, Wang Jian spoke. Han Shifeng stayed silent as she heard his words. Her mind was occupied with another worry. Han Shifeng was filled with anxiety, pondering how she could return to her tribe with her newly acquired dark wings. The thought of being ostracized by her tribe filled her with dread. Wang Jian noticed her unease, and a sly smile crept across his face. I know what's troubling you, and I can help, he said. Perking up with hope, Han Shifeng asked, how? I possess a qi-sealing jade. As long as it remains in contact with your body, your dark qi won't be exposed. However, it's crucial that you prevent anyone from touching you. Once someone touches your body, they will sense the dark qi, Wang Jian explained. Han Shifeng's eyes lit up with excitement at the prospect of a solution to her problem. That could work. I'll make sure no one lays a hand on me, she replied. However, Wang Jian continued with a hint of malice, I never said I would give it to you for free. Slowly, Han Shifeng began to realize the true intentions behind his words and asked coldly, what do you want? I want to take a stroll with you, hand in hand, Wang Jian replied with a sinister grin. Han Shifeng's initial reaction was to refuse him outright, but as she looked at his handsome face and piercing blue eyes, she found herself wavering. The idea of being close to him sent shivers down her spine, and she couldn't help but feel drawn to him. As her mind raced with conflicting thoughts, Wang Jian leaned in closer and whispered, think carefully, Han Shifeng. Do you really want to go back to your tribe alone and face their rejection? It's just a walk. It will be over before you realize it. Han Shifeng hesitated for a moment but ultimately gave in to his proposition. All right. Wang Jian's sly smile persisted as he extended his hand to Han Shifeng, who reluctantly placed hers in his. They walked through the woods, the leaves crunching under their feet. Han Shifeng's eyes were fixed on the ground, refusing to look up and meet Wang Jian's gaze. So, Han Shifeng, how does it feel to have these wings? Wang Jian asked, his voice dripping with amusement. Han Shifeng gritted her teeth and responded, I would rather not talk about it. Wang Jian chuckled, oh come on, it's not every day someone forces a mutation of their bloodline through a change in mentality. Han Shifeng kept her mouth shut, not wanting to engage in any conversation with Wang Jian. She knew he was up to something, and she didn't want to give him any opportunity to manipulate her. Wang Jian maintained his sinister smile as he spoke, your mutation is truly fascinating. I wonder what new abilities you have unlocked. Aren't you even a little bit curious? Han Shifeng refused to be diverted and asked, is it true that Su Xian and Kong Huiyan are your lovers? So even you have heard the rumors. Yes, they are my lovers, Wang Jian answered nonchalantly. Han Shifeng felt a pang of anger towards Su Xian and Kong Huiyan for betraying Lin Feng. She asked, why would they betray brother Feng like that? Her voice trembled with fury. Wang Jian noticed Han Shifeng's anger and continued to speak with a smug expression, you see, Su Xian and Kong Huiyan chose me over Lin Feng because I am superior to him in every way. I am wealthier, more handsome, have a higher status, and can provide a greater sense of security to them. Han Shifeng's fists clenched at the sound of Wang Jian's arrogant words. But that doesn't justify their betrayal, she retorted, her voice filled with righteous anger. Wang Jian shrugged, justification is a matter of perspective. From where they stand, they made the rational choice. Up.dfrm no/v/e/lb, n.co/m. Han Shifeng shook her head, I don't agree with your reasoning. Just ask yourself, Han Shifeng. If you had met me before Lin Feng, would you have fallen for him? Wang Jian asked again, his voice dripping with disdain. I would never have fallen for you. Han Shifeng replied, her voice laced with anger. Wang Jian let out a derisive laugh. Keep convincing yourself like that. Han Shifeng's expression turned to one of disgust, and she spat, you are delusional. I fell in love with Lin Feng because he was kind, brave, and always put the needs of others before his own. He always stood up for what was right, even if it meant putting himself in danger. Most importantly, he is the holy son of my tribe due to his bloodline. I am already bound to him for eternity, Han Shifeng stated firmly. As Han Shifeng expressed her admiration for Lin Feng, Wang Jian couldn't help but roll his eyes in disdain. Kind, brave, and selfless? Sounds like a pretentious hero to me, he scoffed. And if he's such a saint, why didn't he punish the Night Dagger clan for their treachery? Betrayal is betrayal, no matter what the reason. Han Shifeng was taken aback by Wang Jian's words, and even more so when she found herself agreeing with him. Her confusion was evident in her expression, but Wang Jian continued on, relishing in his own words. The reason why he didn't act against the Night Dagger clan is that he's afraid to reduce their combat power. He needs all the help he can get to defeat me, and with the Miracle Angel tribe's warriors gone, he's desperate to keep the Crimson Mammoth tribe and the Night Dagger clan on his side, even if it means turning a blind eye to the Night Dagger clan's despicable betrayal. Han Shifeng was taken aback by Wang Jian's words, her eyes widening in disbelief. It was true that Lin Feng had not taken action against the Night Dagger clan, and now Wang Jian's words made her question Lin Feng's priorities. But Lin Feng would never do that. He would never put his ambitions over his sense of justice, she protested, her voice filled with uncertainty. Wang Jian sneered, "You're too naive, Han Shifeng. He's a snake in sheep's clothing, using his so-called heroism to manipulate those around him. He's been playing everyone, including you, for fools. And he's been doing it all for one reason, to eliminate me." Han Shifeng didn't know what to believe anymore. Could Lin Feng really be as deceitful as Wang Jian was suggesting? Well, whatever. You will see it in due time, Wang Jian stated offhandedly. Han Shifeng stared at him, unsure of what to say. A part of her wanted to believe that Wang Jian was just trying to sow seeds of doubt in her mind, but another part of her couldn't shake the feeling that there might be some truth to his words. She decided to change the subject. "So, where are we going exactly?" "Nowhere. I just wanted to have this interesting conversation with you," Wang Jian stated. As the day wore on and the sun began to dip below the horizon, Wang Jian eventually parted ways with Han Shifeng after having spent nearly an hour in her company. With lightning-quick movements, Wang Jian raced towards the Night Dagger clan's encampment. He had a sword imbued with the power of lightning, which he intended to use to decimate every person in the camp. Wang Jian was well aware of Fen Shuaing's knowledge regarding Lin Feng's legendary sword, a weapon of immense lightning ability that only Lin Feng himself could wield. If Wang Jian were to leave behind a trail of sword wounds and lightning burns on Fen Zhen's lifeless body, then it was highly likely that Fen Shuang would unconsciously believe Lin Feng to be the one responsible for her father's untimely demise. Such a scenario would perfectly align with Wang Jian's ultimate goal. Wang Jian strode through the Night Dagger clan's camp, his lightning attribute sword at the ready. The air crackled with electricity as he approached the first guard. The man barely had time to raise his weapon before Wang Jian's blade slashed through him with a fierce hiss. As he moved deeper into the camp, he slaughtered everyone in his path with deadly efficiency. They had no way of resisting as his cultivation at the Lord Realm made him superior to everyone in this camp. Sparks flew as his sword sliced through flesh and bone, leaving a trail of blood and carnage in his wake. He showed no mercy, no hesitation as he carried out his gruesome task. Finally, he reached the tent where Fen Zhen was hiding. The Night Dagger clan leader emerged, his face a mask of confusion and disbelief at the sight of Wang Jian. He couldn't believe that Wang Jian had come to kill him. "What have I done wrong?" Fen Zhen pleaded, his voice choked with desperation. Wang Jian's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "You've done nothing wrong," he hissed. "In fact, you've done everything exactly as I instructed. But unfortunately, your death is necessary for me to achieve my objective." Fen Zhen's eyes widened in horror as Wang Jian lifted his sword. The air crackled with electricity as the blade descended, and with a final, sickening crunch, Fen Zhen's body fell lifeless to the ground. Wang Jian looked down at the lifeless body, feeling a sense of satisfaction wash over him. All right. Time to create a huge ruckus. Visit nvelben.cm for EU ovals. In the meantime, back at the lair. Lin Feng was meditating and cultivating his qi when he sensed someone utilizing powerful lightning attribute techniques. He looked around and noticed no one in the lair had sensed it. It was only natural as Lin Feng possessed the 9 heavenly lightning sword and possessed hypersensitivity towards lightning attribute. Without a moment's hesitation, he headed towards the source of the disturbance, his own qi flaring to life in response. As he ran, he could feel the weight of his own power building within him, ready to unleash itself at a moment's notice. Lin Feng arrived at the Night Dagger clan's camp, his heart pounding as he surveyed the devastation. Bodies were strewn about, blood soaking the ground. The air was heavy with the scent of death. He knew he needed to act fast. He moved through the camp, his eyes scanning for any survivors. But the scene was gruesome. Severed limbs and decapitated bodies lay scattered among the tents. It was a massacre. As he searched, his heart heavy with distress, he wondered who could have done such a thing. He knew the answer wasn't going to be a pleasant one. He couldn't even begin to imagine the kind of hatred that could drive someone to commit such an atrocity. Despite his efforts, he found no survivors, and the silence of the camp was deafening. He knew that he had to report this to the Miracle Angel tribe, but he couldn't bring himself to leave just yet. He stayed a while longer, paying his respects to the fallen and vowing to bring justice to those responsible for this tragedy. Back at the Miracle Angel tribe's lair, the members of the tribe grew curious as to why Lin Feng had left so suddenly. They hadn't sensed the ruckus caused by Wang Jian's qi due to their low affinity to the lightning attribute. As Han Shifeng replayed her dealings with Wang Jian in her mind, a wave of disgust and guilt washed over her, knowing that it must have been him who had caused Lin Feng to rush out in such haste. Her stomach churned with regret as she felt she had made a grave mistake. But just as quickly as the feeling came, it dissipated, replaced by a sense of pleasure as she realized that Fin Zhen, the leader of the Night Dagger clan, was now dead. She knew she shouldn't feel such glee, but the realization that her hated nemesis was no more made it impossible to resist. No, I can't be too happy. I need to wait until Brother Feng returns and confirms his death. What if something unexpected happened and Fin Zhen survived? That would be a disaster. After 2 hours, Lin Feng returned. He returned to the Miracle Angel tribe's lair with a heavy heart, his mind filled with the gruesome scene he had just witnessed. As he approached the entrance, he could see the worried expressions on the faces of the members of the tribe. I bring grim news, Lin Feng said, his voice low and solemn. The Night Dagger clan's camp has been destroyed with everyone inside massacred, including their leader, Fin Zhen. The members of the Miracle Angel tribe were initially shocked by Lin Feng's words, but then a wave of excitement washed over them. They began to cheer and dance, some even clapping their hands in joy. Children ran around the lair, laughing and jumping with glee. The news of the Night Dagger clan's camp's destruction was truly wonderful to them. They had despised the Night Dagger clan for their treachery, and their demise was a cause for celebration. Seeing their excitement, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel distressed. The destruction of the camp had been a gruesome affair, and the loss of life was not something to be celebrated. He refrained from speaking his thoughts, knowing that the Miracle Angel tribe had a deep-seated hatred for the Night Dagger clan. Instead, he left the hall and made his way to his quarters, hoping to find some solace in solitude. Meanwhile, Han Shifeng couldn't help but feel a sense of gleeful satisfaction in her heart. She thanked Wang Jian silently for fulfilling his end of the deal, and vowed to fulfill her end of the deal. As the hours slowly passed and the night deepened, the Miracle Angel tribe's jubilation showed no signs of abating. Meanwhile, Lin Feng's mind was consumed by the atrocity he had witnessed earlier, ruminating on the identity of the unknown malefactor responsible for such devastation. His thoughts were plagued with questions, perplexed by the motives of the assailant and the reasoning behind targeting the Night Dagger clan. As he struggled to make sense of the situation, he couldn't help but feel deeply disappointed in the members of the Miracle Angel tribe. Though he understood their animosity towards the Night Dagger clan, their gleeful celebrations in the face of such destruction left him feeling troubled and disheartened. As dawn broke on the morrow, tidings of the obliteration of the Night Dagger clan's encampment and the death of Fin Zhen disseminated with celerity throughout the neighboring village. Through the network of communication threads woven by the villagers, the news pervaded and permeated every nook and cranny of the Jingguan region. Simultaneously with the revelation of the Night Dagger clan's camp's destruction and the demise of Fin Zhen, a second piece of news reverberated throughout the Jingguan region. It was announced that the ruthless slaughter of the Night Dagger clan's members was executed by a perpetrator who wielded a sword and possessed the rare attribute of lightning. The aforementioned news was sufficient to create a strong association in people's minds between the death of Fin Zhen and none other than Lin Feng. The news of the destruction of their camp and the death of Fin Zhen, along with the rumors linking Lin Feng to the incident, reached the Night Dagger clan's hideout in the northern Mellow Magnolia Woods. The clan members were horrified, their hearts heavy with grief and despair, and disbelief etched on their faces. Fan Shuiying's world crumbled beneath her feet as she received the dreadful news. Her heart pounded with disbelief, and she struggled to come to terms with the brutal reality of her father's death at the hands of her beloved. She immediately ordered her subordinates and guards to accompany her to the camp to personally verify these horrifying rumors. Captain Li, prepare my horse and call my loyal guards. We must go to the camp immediately, she ordered, her voice trembling. Captain Li nodded gravely and called for the horses. My lady, are you sure you want to go? It might be too dangerous, he said, trying to dissuade her. Fan Shuiying turned to him with a fierce look in her eyes. I must know the truth, Captain. I cannot rest until then. Captain Li nodded in understanding and called for more guards to accompany them. As Fin Shuang was getting ready to leave for the Night Dagger Clan's camp, her mother, Lady Xia, came to her, pleading with her to reconsider. Fin Shuang, my dear daughter, please don't do this. It's too dangerous, Lady Xia implored. Your father wouldn't want you to put yourself in harm's way like this. You're all I have left. If something happens to you, I'll be lost. Fin Shuang turned to her mother, her voice firm. I appreciate your concern, mother, but I must do this. I am the head of this clan now, and I must take responsibility for what has happened. Her mother continued to plead with her, but Fin Shuang was not swayed. Finally, her mother relented, tears still in her eyes as she hugged her daughter tightly. Fin Shuang, Captain Li, and dozens of guards rode swiftly towards the camp. As they neared the camp, she could see the destruction and devastation that had befallen the Night Dagger clan. Tears welled up in her eyes as she saw the lifeless bodies of her clan members strewn across the ground. 5ddeu upts on NOV/E/LN.com. She dismounted her horse and slowly walked towards the site where her father's body lay. She knelt beside him and wept bitterly. Father, why did you have to leave me like this? Who did this to you? She cried out in agony. Her guards stood around her, watching her with sympathy and sorrow. They knew how much Fin Shuang loved her father and how much she was hurting. Secure the area, Fin Shuang ordered, her voice trembling with emotion. Find any clues you can about who did this. And we must take our fallen home and give them a proper burial. Her team worked quickly and efficiently, tying up the bodies of the dead and gathering any evidence they could find. As Fin Shuang's subordinates began their investigation, they found that the wounds on the corpses matched the patterns of a lightning attribute sword. One of the subordinates reported to Fin Shuang, My lady, we have found evidence that suggests that the murders were committed by someone with a lightning attribute sword. No way, it really isn't you, right, Brother Feng? Fin Shuang couldn't help but mutter in a hopeful tone. Fin Shuang wandered around the campsite, her heart heavy with grief and her mind clouded with doubt. She simply could not believe that Lin Feng, the love of her life, would be capable of killing her father. As she walked around the tent where her father had stayed, something caught her eye: a small piece of torn paper on the ground. The paper that lay before her eyes was of the same make as that note she found outside her bedroom, which stated her father's surreptitious alliance with Wang Jian. Fin Shuang stood there, holding the paper in her trembling hands, as a realization of dread washed over her. Did Brother Feng do this because he discovered my father's secret collaboration with Wang Jian? She pondered with a tremble in her voice. The gravity of the situation dawned on her, and she was left shaken to the core. Despite her desire to confront Lin Feng and seek the truth, a sense of fear and uncertainty crept in. The masterful manipulation of the scenario by Wang Jian instilled a deep sense of doubt and suspicion in Fin Shuang's mind, leaving her unsure of what to believe. Thus, she dared not visit the Miracle Angel tribe's lair and confront Lin Feng. Her conviction in her deduction had become so strong that she was afraid of facing him and even believing in him. Fin Shuang returned to her clan's hideout with a heavy heart, feeling lost and confused. On the other side of the forest, Lin Feng received news from the Miracle Angel tribe's scouts that Fin Shuang had come to the camp and had taken the corpses back to her hideout. Lin Feng was disheartened to hear this. He couldn't understand why Fin Shuang didn't come to meet him or even send a message informing him of her arrival. His heart was heavy with sadness and worry as he contemplated the situation. Despite the news linking him to Fin Zhen's murder, Lin Feng's conscience remained pure and untroubled. Nevertheless, the disheartening thought crossed his mind: could it be that Shuang has given credence to this baseless rumor and thus refrained from meeting me? The weight of this possibility heavily bore upon Lin Feng's spirit, plunging him into a deep melancholy. Meanwhile, Fin Shuang made her way back to the hideout of her clan. There, she was informed that Wang Jian had arrived, prompted by the announcement of Fin Zhen's death. Given the existing treaty between the Night Dagger clan and Wang Jian, Fin Shuang greeted this development with little astonishment and considered it a predictable occurrence. Wang Jian had arrived an hour earlier, and he was talking to Lady Xia with a grave expression on his face. I am sorry for your loss, Lady Xia. It is truly a tragedy that Fin Zhen has passed away, he said in a sympathetic tone. Lady Xiao's eyes were red and swollen from crying, but she managed to compose herself enough to respond, Thank you, Lord Wang. I cannot believe that my husband is gone. It is so sudden and unexpected. Wang Jian nodded his head in agreement and continued, I have come to offer my condolences and also to discuss the matter of your safety. The The killer who took Fin Zhen's life is still out there, and it is too dangerous for you and your daughter to remain in the Night Dagger clan's hideout. I would like to offer you a safe haven in an estate near my mansion. The security there is much better, and you will have my personal protection. Find you chapters on nv/lbi.com. Lady Xiao's hesitation was palpable as she wrestled with the idea of leaving her clan's hideout, but the thought of her daughter's safety eventually overcame her reservations, and she reluctantly agreed to Wang Jian's proposal. At this precise moment, Fin Shuaiying made an entrance into the hall. As Fin Shuaiying entered the hall, Wang Jian stared at her with an evil glint in his eyes. Lady Xia had a delighted look on her face as she saw her daughter. She then informed her daughter of the discussion they had with Wang Jian. Fin Shuaiying's eyes widened with shock when she heard the proposal of shifting near Wang Jian's mansion. What? No, mother, absolutely not. How can you even consider it? Fin Shuaiying exclaimed. But, my dear daughter, we must think of our safety. Wang Jian is right. It's too dangerous to stay here, Lady Xia replied, her voice laced with concern. Wang Jian interrupted their conversation. I'll leave you two to sort out and let me know of your decision, he said, a devious smile on his face as he left the hall. Once he was gone, Fin Shuaiying spoke, Mother, you can't seriously consider moving us to his estate. I don't feel it's the right decision. Lady Xia remained intransigent. But our options are limited. Should we remain here, we risk falling prey to the same assassins who dispatched your father, and we would be powerless to resist. Your father, with all his might, led the best warriors of our clan, and yet they all perished. Why do you express such strong resistance? Is it because you fear the disapproval of your husband? Rest assured that if his love is sincere, he will be empathetic to our plight, Lady Xia concluded with conviction. It's not about that, Mother, Fin Shuaiying shook her head in defiance. Then what is this about? Explain to me, Lady Xiao's tone was firm. I highly doubt the sincerity of Wang Jian's offer. It reeks of ulterior motives, and I refuse to be swayed by those honeyed words, Fin Shuaiying finally responded. Lady Xia frowned at her daughter's stubbornness. Enough of your baseless accusations, Fin Shuaiying. I refuse to endanger our lives any further. If you are not willing to come with me, then I will go alone, she declared, her voice tinged with frustration. Fin Shuaiying's eyes widened in shock. Mother, no. You cannot risk your life like this. I will come with you, but only if you promise me that you will be cautious and not trust Wang Jian blindly, she relented, her voice laced with worry. Lady Xia smiled triumphantly. I promise, my dear. We will be safe at Wang Jian's estate, and we will not let our guard down. Let us go and inform him of our decision, she said, rising from her seat. As they made their way out of the hall, Fin Shuaiying couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that clung to her. She prayed silently that her instincts were wrong and that they would not regret this decision. During this interval, Wang Jian convened with his confidential sources within the Night Dagger clan. Each informant was generously rewarded with personalized weaponry or equipment based on their preferences, evoking a deep sense of satisfaction within them. Their allegiance towards Wang Jian grew exponentially in response to this display of generosity. The shrewd Wang Jian was pleased to witness this, and when he perceived that the time was opportune, he broached a critical matter. He charged them with the task of aggressively recruiting more members for his faction now that Fin Zhen had been eliminated and Fin Shuaiying would no longer be present to supervise the Night Dagger clan. The recruitment of new members could be accomplished without arousing suspicion or resistance. Furthermore, in case any of Fin Shuaiying's faithful followers attempted to communicate with her, their messages would have to go through an arduous vetting process established by Wang Jian within their new residence. This would enable him to cherry-pick the intelligence that Lady Xia and her daughter would receive, thus securing his influence over them. Soon after, Lady Xia arrived with her daughter and informed Wang Jian of their decision. Wang Jian's eyes caught Fin Shuaiying's contemptuous stare, but he concealed the disdain and spoke with a warm smile, excellent news. Let us commence with the arrangements for Fin Zhen's funeral without delay. I shall remain here until the rites are performed and then accompany you and your daughter to your new residence. I assure you that my best experts will be at your service to safeguard you from any potential threats. Lady Xia appeared moved by Wang Jian's gracious offer and expressed her gratitude, saying, My sincere thanks for your benevolence, Lord Wang. Wang Jian grunted as he turned and left the site. Lady Xia fixed her gaze on her daughter after Wang Jian had left and spoke with a tone of disdain, This is the man whom you doubted. He is a generous benefactor who deserves our admiration, not suspicion. Fin Shuaiying remained silent in response. She knew Wang Jian had left a favorable impression on her mother's mind, and there was no way to change that. The funeral ceremony of Fin Zhen followed the traditional customs of their clan, starting with the ritual of washing the body. This was done by family members and close friends of the deceased, who cleaned and dressed the body in the appropriate funeral attire. Naturally, all of them were male. Ariad updated stirise at n/vel/bin.com. Next, a procession was formed with the family leading the way, followed by mourners and musicians playing somber music on various instruments such as flutes, cymbals, and drums. The procession marched slowly towards the burial site, with the mourners wailing loudly and beating their chests as a sign of grief. Once the body was buried, the mourners participated in various theatrical performances, including operas and dance dramas, all of which were meant to honor and remember the deceased. In one of the dance dramas, Fin Shuang participated in a traditional fan dance, twirling her colorful silk fan gracefully to the beat of the drums. Wang Jian observed the performance with a calm smile, looking pleased with the spectacle. As the performances continued, Wang Jian's acting skills were on full display, as he pretended to be a concerned friend of the family, comforting Lady Xia with words of sympathy and offering her wine to ease her grief. Despite his outward display of kindness, Wang Jian was secretly pleased with the success of his plan. As the funeral came to a close, Lady Xia made a suggestion: "We should leave tomorrow." Wang Jian responded with a genial smile: "Are you certain? There's no rush, and you are welcome to stay a while longer. Your kindness has been greatly appreciated, Lord Wang. But I believe it is time for us to depart," Lady Xia said graciously. "Of course, if that is what you wish," Wang Jian replied, feigning politeness. "Thank you," Lady Xia nodded politely and turned to leave. As she walked away, Wang Jian's eyes followed her with an intense, burning gaze. While he presented himself as a benevolent man, his mind was consumed with impure thoughts and desires, longing to possess Lady Xia for his own. Lady Xia was a mature beauty with an alluring sense of rawness about her. Her long, flowing brown hair cascaded down her back in gentle waves, framing her face perfectly. Her deep turquoise eyes held a captivating depth that seemed to draw people in, and her full, pink lips were always poised in a soft smile. But what really set Lady Xia apart were her curves. Her body was a work of art, with curves that flowed and ebbed in all the right places. Her hips were wide and round, and her ample breasts were full and enticing. Her waist was slim, drawing attention to her feminine form and giving her an almost regal presence. No man in their right mind could ignore this gorgeous woman. And Wang Jian was certainly no different. However, he had yet to make his move on her. It wasn't due to the difficulty, as it was almost non-existent. He just had to force himself on her, and she couldn't resist. She could only tolerate the outcome with gritted teeth. The reason Wang Jian was sure was that he had utilized his true eye's ability to compare his luck to Lady Xia. His luck was at 2700, while Lady Xia had the luck of merely 1600. The only reason he didn't make his move on her yet was because she was a crucial piece if he wanted to conquer Fin Shuang. Fin Shuang was a heroine and possessed a beauty truly deserving of the title. If Lady Xia was a mature beauty, then Fin Shuang was a vision of youthful beauty. Her auburn hair, inherited from her father, was long and silky, falling in soft waves around her shoulders. Her clear turquoise eyes were bright and sparkling, exuding a sense of innocence and wonder. Her features were delicate and refined, with high cheekbones and a small, straight nose. Her lips were full and rosy, giving her a sweet, gentle smile. She was slender and graceful, with a youthful energy that radiated from her. Her body was slender, with long, elegant limbs and a delicate frame. Despite her slender figure, Fin Shuang also possessed curves in all the right places, making her a perfect woman in her own right. Her hips were wide enough to give her an hourglass figure, and her beasts large enough that they would completely fit in Wang Jian's hand. "Just wait, it won't be long before you are below me, Lady Xia," Wang Jian thought darkly. Unbeknownst to Lady Xia, the man she believed to be a generous benefactor was nothing more than a predator in disguise, concealing his true intentions behind a mask of charm. Wang Jian guided Lady Xia, her daughter Fin Shuang, and a small entourage of servants and aides towards their new estate. The group passed through the grand entrance, their footsteps echoing against the stone walls as they made their way towards the main courtyard. As they walked, Lady Xia and Fin Shuang gazed in awe at the grandeur and beauty of the estate, taking in the intricate carvings and magnificent architecture. Wang Jian led them to a large reception room where they were greeted by a team of servants, who ushered them towards the comfortable seating arrangements. The room was adorned with elegant furnishings and intricate decorations, a testament to the opulence of the estate. Lady Xia and Fin Shuang took in their surroundings, their eyes widening in amazement at the grandeur of the room. As they settled into their seats, Wang Jian addressed Lady Xia with a calm and collected voice. Please make yourself comfortable, Lady Xia. I hope the journey wasn't too taxing for you. Lady Xia nodded her head gracefully. Her eyes were still fixated on the ornate decor of the room. Fen Shuiying, however, appeared slightly uneasy, glancing around nervously at the unfamiliar surroundings. But Wang Jian quickly reassured her with a warm smile and gentle words, putting her at ease. Fen Shuiying took a deep breath and asked Wang Jian the question that had been weighing on her mind. I want to investigate my father's death. Can you help me? Wang Jian's expression remained unchanged, but a flicker of surprise passed through his eyes. He replied with a warm smile, of course, Shuiying. I had already planned to look into the matter myself. Fen Shuiying bristled slightly at the use of her given name but suppressed her irritation and pressed on. What do you propose we do? I have heard rumors that Lin Feng may have been responsible for your father's death, Wang Jian said candidly. I plan to confront him and get to the bottom of this. Fen Shuiying looked thoughtful for a moment before voicing her concern. But what if Brother Feng refuses to meet with you? She added internally, he hates you, after all. Wang Jian's smile remained unbroken as he assured her, I am sure he would put his hatred aside for your father's sake. However, if he proves to be stubborn, I will seek the help of the Miracle Angel tribe. They can easily help us find the truth. Fen Shuiying pondered on his words, finding the plan reasonable. That's a good plan, she finally spoke with a hint of hopefulness. All right. You go to your room and get some rest now. I will go and send a message to the Miracle Angel tribe and set up this meeting, Wang Jian spoke. Fen Shuiying heeded his words and returned to her room. Wang Jian swiftly departed from the estate and rode his chariot to his grand mansion. The journey lasted no more than half an hour. Upon his return, his mind was preoccupied with thoughts of Su Xian. He felt a longing desire to see her and decided to pay her a visit. It had been several days since he last saw her. Su Xian was actually studying a book in her room when she saw Wang Jian entering her room. Upon seeing him, Su Xian ran towards him and jumped into his arms, showering him with kisses of happiness. Wang Jian, too, was overjoyed to see her, and he held her tightly in his embrace, enjoying the warmth of her body against his. Su Xian's luscious lips tasted sweet against his, and he savored the moment, relishing in their reunion. After a few minutes of passionate kissing, Su Xian pulled away and looked up at Wang Jian with a smile. So, where were you busy this time? Her again? Su Xian asked. No. It was all business this time, Wang Jian spoke. He then inquired her, so, how goes your studies? Su Xian spoke with confidence, I have completed most of the theoretical training. Wang Jian was surprised to hear her statement and asked, is that so? Then it's high time we awakened your spirit. Su Xian was surprised and responded, but isn't a spirit awakening treasure required for that? I've heard they are quite expensive. Wang Jian, unfazed, reminded her of his wealth and power, don't forget who I am. I can afford to purchase dozens of spirit awakening treasures. Su Xian smiled genuinely, thank you. As Su Xian wrapped her arms around Wang Jian, she felt the warmth of his body against hers. She snuggled closer, burying her face into his chest. Once Su Xian hugged him, it ignited the fire in Wang Jian as he began to feel quite hot. His hands gripped Su Xian's clothes and tore them impatiently while stripping down quickly. As Su Xian's naked body fell on the bed, there was a delighted look on her face. She whispered, you really can't wait, can you? It was a new dress. Wang Jian responded huskily, you can buy 10 more of those dresses. After finishing his sentence, Wang Jian swiftly leapt onto the bed and enveloped Su Xian's curvaceous form in his strong arms. Su Xian, taken by surprise, gasped in surprise and pleasure as Wang Jian's powerful embrace pinned her to the bed. His muscular arms surrounded her body, trapping her against his chest while his hot breath lingered on her ear. Su Xian's body trembled as Wang Jian's lips found her neck and began to shower her with delicate kisses. The sensation sent waves of pleasure coursing through her veins, and her eyes fluttered closed as she surrendered herself to his embrace. Wang Jian's touch was electrifying, every caress of his hand sending sparks of desire flickering across her skin. He eagerly grasped her voluptuous breasts and caressed them with delight while his throbbing manhood brushed against her smooth legs. Su Xian let out a soft moan, her body trembling with pleasure at the touch of his hands. Oh, Wang Jian, she whispered, her voice husky with desire. You make me feel so good. Wang Jian smiled, his eyes shining with delight. Hee hee, This is just the start. When are you going to put it inside? Su Xian inquired with a groan. Wang Jian turned Su Xian over onto her stomach, firmly gripping her waist with one hand and delivering a sharp slap to her round buttocks with the other. She let out a surprised yelp as the stinging sensation spread through her body. Beg me, bitch, Wang Jian commanded in a low, husky voice. Su Xian's cheeks flushed with arousal as she gazed up at him with a mixture of submission and desire. Yes, please, master, she whispered, her voice thick with need. Wang Jian's eyes gleamed with a mixture of dominance and satisfaction as he leaned in close to her ear. Louder, he growled, his breath hot against her skin. Su Xian moaned, her body arching with pleasure as Wang Jian continued to spank her, each blow making her feel more alive and more submissive to his every command. Please, master, she cried out, her voice echoing through the room as her body writhed with pleasure. Wang Jian's grip tightened on her waist, his own arousal growing as he listened to her cries of pleasure. With a low groan, he finally relented, his hand coming to rest on her reddened flesh. Good girl, he murmured, his voice thick with satisfaction. Wang Jian's voice was heavy with desire as he said, Now, you slut, it's time for your reward. In one swift movement, he penetrated Su Xian's intimate garden with his throbbing member, causing her to gasp and arch her back in pleasure. The sensation of him filling her completely was almost overwhelming, and she clutched at the sheets with a mixture of pleasure and pain. Wang Jian began to move with a slow, steady rhythm, each thrust sending waves of ecstasy through Su Xian's body. She moaned and writhed beneath him, her eyes closing as she gave in to the sensation. As he continued to move inside her, Wang Jian leaned down and captured her lips in a passionate kiss, his hands gripping her hips tightly as he intensified his thrusts. Su Xian responded eagerly, kissing him back with equal fervor and urging him on with soft moans and gasps. The heat between them was intense, their bodies moving together in perfect harmony as they sought the ultimate pleasure. After thrusting for more than 10 minutes, Su Xian finally reached her limit as she let out a loud moan. Ah, I am coming, master. Your useless slave is coming. She cried out in ecstasy as she reached her climax, her body shuddering with the force of it. The same was true for Wang Jian as he soon reached his peak and exploded inside Su Xian, filling her with his hot seed. For a moment, they lay together, wrapped in each other's arms, their breathing ragged and their bodies spent. Wang Jian wasn't satisfied with just one round. He positioned Su Xian's body in a way that her chest was pressed against the bed, and her bottom was lifted up high. He ran his hand over the smooth curves of her buttocks before gripping them tightly, causing her to gasp in both pain and pleasure. He leaned in close to her ear and whispered, You thought one round was enough to satisfy me, my dear? You have much to learn about pleasing me. With a wicked grin on his face, he inserted his member into her garden from behind, causing her to moan loudly. He pounded into her with relentless vigor, savoring the sounds of her pleasure and the way her body quivered under his touch. With each forceful thrust, Wang Jian's excitement grew, his grip on Su Xian's hips tightening as he savored the control he had over her. Su Xian's moans grew louder and more desperate with each passing moment, her body writhing beneath his touch. Wang Jian continued to pleasure her with his expert movements, his member staying hard for what seemed like an eternity. He took his time, savoring every moment and indulging in every sensation that Su Xian's body had to offer. He traced his fingertips over every curve and dip, teasing and tempting her with his touch. With each soft moan that escaped her lips, his desire grew, fueling his insatiable hunger for more. Get your avrite ovels at no/v/e/lbn.com. He pulled her body tightly against his, feeling the heat of her skin against his own. He could feel her muscles tensing, her breath quickening, and knew that she was nearing the edge. But he wasn't done yet. He wanted to push her beyond her limits, to make her scream his name in ecstasy. The sound of their skin slapping together echoed throughout the room, mixing with her desperate moans and his growls of satisfaction. He relished the way she begged for more, the way she pleaded with him to take her harder and faster. The bed creaked with the intensity of their passion as Wang Jian pushed Su Xian over the edge. Her moans grew louder and more urgent with each thrust, her body writhing in pleasure as he expertly worked her to the brink of climax. Finally, with a loud cry, Su Xian let go, her body convulsing with the force of her release. Wang Jian held her tightly as she rode out the waves of ecstasy, feeling a sense of satisfaction at having brought her to such heights of pleasure. As he reached his own climax, Wang Jian released a torrent of hot seed deep inside her, his member pulsing with the force of his release. Su Xian gasped as she felt his seed fill her, the sensation both overwhelming and intensely satisfying. With a wicked grin, Wang Jian pulled his still hard member out of her and turned her. He then pressed his hard member against her breasts, enjoying the way her nipples hardened at the contact. "Ready for round 3? He asked, his voice low and dangerous. Su Xian could hear the smug satisfaction in his tone. Su Xian eagerly grabbed her own breasts and pushed them towards Wang Jian's member, rubbing it against her sensitive nipples as she responded in a breathless tone, "Always, my master. Your pleasure is my only desire." He reached forward and grasped her hair, pulling her head back as he thrust his member between her breasts. Su Xian moaned with pleasure, her hands moving to cup and massage his member with her breasts. "Such a good little slut," he said, his voice filled with dark satisfaction. "You were made to serve me." "Thank you, master," Su Xian responded happily. As she pressed her breasts against him, she moved them up and down, massaging his member with each stroke. After more than 15 minutes of her effort, Wang Jian let out a deep moan and released his hot seed all over her face. Su Xian eagerly licked up every drop with a greedy look in her eyes, relishing in the taste of his essence. Wang Jian pulled her close to him and whispered, "You're such a good little slut, aren't you?" Su Xian nodded, "Yes, I am your little slut. Only yours." As the evening wore on, the two of them were lost in the heat of their passion, going at it with a fervor that seemed insatiable. They writhed together in a dance of ecstasy, their bodies entwined in a symphony of lust and desire. For hours on end, they explored each other's bodies, finding new ways to pleasure and delight one another. They tried every position imaginable, their bodies contorting and twisting in a wild and frenzied dance. At times, they were so lost in their own pleasure that they barely noticed the passing of time. Moans and cries of pleasure echoed through the room as they pushed each other to new heights of ecstasy. Finally, as midnight approached, they both collapsed onto the bed, exhausted and sated. They had gone dozens of rounds, leaving each other breathless and spent. As they lay there, wrapped in each other's arms, they basked in the afterglow of their lovemaking, feeling completely satisfied and content. The next morning, Wang Jian and Su Xian stepped into the large bathroom in their luxurious suite. The room was filled with the scent of jasmine, and steam rose from the marble tub that was filled with warm water. News to rise at n/vel/b/i/n.co. Su Xian moved towards the tub and dipped her toe in the water, testing the temperature before slipping in. The water felt wonderful on her skin, and she let out a contented sigh as she sank into it, the water lapping at her breasts. Wang Jian followed her and stood at the edge of the tub, looking down at her with a wicked grin on his face. Su Xian knew what he wanted and reached out to stroke his member, her fingers trailing up and down the length of it. He moaned in pleasure, his eyes closing as she took him into her mouth. She licked and sucked him eagerly, her tongue working over every inch of him as she brought him to the brink of release. But Wang Jian wasn't satisfied with a quick orgasm. He wanted to extend his pleasure. As she continued her oral assault, Wang Jian smirked down at her, his eyes gleaming with a dark hunger. Su Xian moaned and whimpered, her need growing with each passing moment. She wanted nothing more than to taste his release, to feel the warmth of his cum on her tongue. But Wang Jian was in control. Finally, he allowed himself to climax, his seed spilling into her mouth as she eagerly swallowed every drop, savoring the taste as she pulled away from him, a satisfied smile on her lips. They both stepped into the warm water, enjoying the sensation of the bubbles tickling their skin. As they soaked in the tub, they talked about their plans for the day ahead, their voices soft and relaxed. They washed each other, taking turns lathering up and rinsing off, enjoying the intimacy of the moment. As they entered the bedroom, Wang Jian appeared in the same clothes he had worn the previous day. Su Xian, on the other hand, had slipped into a new dress, as her previous dress was torn by Wang Jian. The sleek black fabric hugged her every curve, accentuating her ample bosom and slender waist. Wang Jian couldn't help but let out a low whistle as he took in her appearance, his eyes roaming over her body hungrily. "You look absolutely stunning," he said, a sly grin playing on his lips. Su Xian smiled coyly and twirled around, the dress swirling around her legs. "I'm glad you like it, Jian," she purred, batting her eyelashes. "I feel like you don't want to let me get out of this bedroom." Wang Jian spoke with a smile. "It's nothing like that," Su Xian smiled shyly. Wang Jian leaned back in his chair and looked at Su Xian with a serious expression. She sat up straight, waiting eagerly for him to reveal her next task. "All right. Let's talk more about your next task," he stated, his voice commanding attention. Su Xian's eyes twinkled with excitement as she leaned forward and asked, "What is it?" "I will be ordering a team of scouts to scour the region for young beautiful women with potential and offer each one a chance to learn cultivation. You, Su Xian, will be the head of that team. It will be your job to oversee their training and turn them into formidable fighters. A grin spread across Su Xian's face as she listened to the task. I'm ready for the challenge, Your Highness, she replied, her voice filled with enthusiasm. Wang Jian nodded in approval, a small smile forming on his lips. Good. I have faith in your abilities. How many women are we talking about? Su Xian asked eagerly. 20 or so in the beginning, Wang Jian replied. Su Xian was excited to hear his words and immediately began to think about how she could best help Wang Jian achieve his goal. Wang Jian was preparing this force for 2 reasons. Wang Jian had 2 main reasons for his plan to train a new force of women. Firstly, he knew that departure from the current region and his return to the mainland of the everlasting mystical empire was inevitable, and he wanted to be well prepared for any possible confrontations. He was aware that in order to advance his position in succession, he would require a powerful force at his disposal, and so he intended to create one himself. However, his motivations weren't entirely altruistic, and there was a darker, more selfish reason for his desire to train beautiful women. He relished the idea of having a group of stunningly attractive women working for him as subordinates, obeying his every command and satisfying his every whim. He imagined the satisfaction he would feel, having his pick of the most beautiful and desirable women, all at his beck and call. Since Wang Jian held power, status, and resources, it was certainly not impossible for him to create such a force. After dealing with Su Xian, Wang Jian left her chambers and began to check out the system's notifications. He was startled to witness the destiny points he had acquired during the last couple of days. 81,341 destiny points. About 50,000 of these points came from his manipulation of Han Shifeng's mind. A majority of these points were due to her bloodline mutation that had completely transformed her. Her mentality had also fallen sharply. He received destiny points for her guilt of agreeing to Wang Jian's deal and killing Fin Zhen. He earned points as Han Shifeng was secretly delighted upon hearing the news of Fin Zhen's demise. He earned points as Han Shifeng had even thanked Wang Jian repeatedly in her heart after Fin Zhen's death. He earned destiny points for her guilt of betraying Lin Feng and spreading that fake rumor. The rest of the points were divided between Su Xian and Fin Shuiying. Both provided him with around 15,000 destiny points, with Su Xian providing him with more. However, Wang Jian couldn't help but frown slightly as he saw those destiny points. It's still much less compared to when I used all those tricks on Kong Huiyan. Is it because Kong Huiyan isn't in love with me while Su Xian is? Does that mean that I will earn fewer points if these heroines fall in love with me? But then a wicked smile crept across his face as he realized that there were other, even better ways to extract destiny points from these women. He began to plot and scheme, his mind racing with depraved ideas of how to control and manipulate them further. Name, Wang Jian. Age, 20 years old. Destiny points, 116,111. Cultivation, first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique, Soaring Dragon Technique, Level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills, Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moon Shadow Step, Shadow Manipulation, Dark Fog, Eclipse Domain Annihilation, and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline, Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. Second level, next level, 500,000. Physique, Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit, Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses, Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Wang Jian promptly embarked on a journey towards the lair of the Miracle Angel tribe on the same day. As he approached the entrance to the Miracle Angel tribe's lair, Wang Jian came to a halt and drew upon his mastery of the shadow manipulation technique, summoning forth a pitch-black doppelganger to infiltrate the stronghold. The shadowy replica wasted no time in slipping into the lair, shrouded in darkness and all but invisible to any who might try to detect its presence. Lin Feng's daily routine was grueling as he dedicated himself to rigorous physical training. He could be seen lifting heavy weights, running uphill, and practicing his martial arts techniques with utmost discipline. Meanwhile, Han Shifeng, along with her mother and other female members of her tribe, were gathered in a tent, discussing the tribe's safety. Han Shifeng proposed the idea of hiring mercenaries to protect the tribe, but her suggestion was met with skepticism from the other women. They feared that these mercenaries might turn on them and pose a threat to their safety instead. Despite Han Shifeng's persistent arguments, the other women remained firm in their opposition to the idea of hiring outside help. At this moment, Han Shifeng felt someone poking her back. As she turned around, she saw no one there. Just as she was about to turn back, Han Shifeng noticed some words written on the ground. Her eyes widened as she saw the message. It was a simple sentence, but it shocked her to the extreme. Come meet me at the usual spot, Wang Jian. After reading the message, Han Shifeng could no longer remain calm. She excused herself from the meeting and left the lair quickly. She turned around and made sure that no one was pursuing her as she headed to the spot where Wang Jian was waiting for her. Han Shifeng was taken aback by Wang Jian's sudden appearance, and she looked at him with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. What are you doing here? And why did you summon me? She asked, eyeing him warily. Wang Jian's face had a grim look as he replied, there is a certain situation at hand. Han Shifeng's brow furrowed in confusion. What do you mean? Wang Jian leaned in slightly, his eyes gleaming with a hint of mischief. Fen Shuang has left her hideout and is living in my estate. She wants to investigate her father's death, and I promised to help her, he said, relishing in the way Han Shifeng's expression changed from confusion to apprehension. And, how does that relate to me? Han Shifeng asked, her tone cautious and guarded. Wang Jian answered her, she wants to meet Lin Feng and confirm whether the rumors are true and whether he is her father's murderer or not. Diascover dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. There is no telling what will happen if the two meet. Once Fen Shuang meets Lin Feng, she will realize he isn't her father's murderer. Lin Feng will also work with her and try to find the true assailant. He will support her along with her clan, and this was unacceptable for Han Shifeng. No way. I can't allow her to meet him. Han Shifeng instantly responded. Wang Jian wore a worrisome expression as he explained, if I continue to evade this meeting, Fen Shuang will only become more determined to meet Lin Feng. Ha. En Shifeng shared the same concern and brainstormed a solution. Suddenly, a cunning plan dawned on her as she spoke, I have a plan. What if I meet her and tell her that it was indeed Lin Feng who killed her father because of my request? I am sure she will believe me. Wang Jian internally smiled as he heard her words. This was exactly what he wanted to hear. Wang Jian employed a clever psychological trick known as the IKEA effect to manipulate Han Shifeng into supporting his plan. Instead of proposing the idea himself and facing her opposition, he allowed her to come up with it on her own, knowing that people tend to value things they have created or contributed to. By playing this game, Wang Jian ensured that Han Shifeng was fully invested in the plan and would do whatever it took to make it work. That's a good start, but we need to scrutinize the plan further. Any flaws could jeopardize our success, Wang Jian advised, his mind racing with possibilities. Han Shifeng responded, lost in thought. The pair spent the next hour in deep discussion, ironing out the details of the plan until they were confident it was foolproof. Satisfied, they went their separate ways. Be prepared. The plan will be put into action tomorrow afternoon, Wang Jian declared before leaving. As soon as he departed, Wang Jian made a beeline for Fen Shuang's estate to share the news with her. On the other hand, Han Shifeng returned to the lair. She gathered her loyal subordinates and informed them of this meeting with Wang Jian. She also added, keep this news from Brother Feng. You know of his hatred for Wang Jian. He will never allow me to go to this meeting if he knows of it. Don't worry, young miss. Nobody will know of this secret, her servants solemnly promised. Good, Han Shifeng responded with a smile. I don't want to lie to Brother Feng, but this meeting with Wang Jian is necessary to find more information regarding that assault on the Night Dagger clan's camp. It will be disastrous if the assailants target us. These final words easily convinced her subordinates, who were still skeptical. As the evening approached, Wang Jian arrived at the estate where Fen Shuang was staying. He quickly scanned the premises and spotted Lady Xia in the living room, sipping tea. He quickly demanded, where is Fen Shuang? Lady Xia was startled by his question but replied quickly, she's training on the grounds. Wang Jian's eyes glinted with an unsettling focus as he made his way to the training grounds. There, he observed Fen Shuang intently as she practiced throwing daggers with precision. I have one bad news and one good news for you, Shuang, Wang Jian spoke. What is it, Lord Wang? Fen Shuang asked. Her eyes were still fixated on her target as she continued her practice. The bad news is that Lin Feng refused to join us at the meeting. However, the good news is that Han Shifeng will be substituting for him in the meeting. She has even promised to inform us of the truth behind your father's demise, Wang Jian spoke. Those words immediately caused Fan Shuang to turn in his direction and ask, "She knows the truth?" Wang Jian responded with a shrug, "She does claim to know of it." "When is this meeting?" Fan Shuang asked impatiently. "Tomorrow afternoon. The site of this meeting is in that old outpost in the west of the Mellow Magnolia Woods. It is near the Thundering Hemlock Woods and can be considered a zone beyond our respective regions. It will be the perfect site for the meeting." "All right. When do we depart?" Fan Shuang asked. "Tomorrow morning," Wang Jian spoke. Read latest OVLS at nv/e/l/by.com. The two talked for a bit more before Wang Jian left the estate. The next day, both parties arrived at the outpost. Wang Jian and Fan Shuang were accompanied by 20 guards, while Han Shifeng had brought 10 loyal subordinates along with her. They met in the main hall of the outpost before Wang Jian ordered the guards, "Leave. This will be an important discussion." Han Shifeng gave the same order to her subordinates. Her subordinates were rather hesitant to leave her in a room with Wang Jian, but they figured that Fan Shuang wouldn't let anything happen to their mistress as both were Lin Feng's women. After everyone else had left, Wang Jian opened the meeting by addressing Han Shifeng. "Miss Han, you mentioned that you know the truth about Mr. Fen's death. Would you please enlighten us?" Han Shifeng turned to Fan Shuang and responded, "Haven't you heard? The state of the corpses should be enough evidence to identify the culprit." Fan Shuang replied calmly, "I cannot believe that Brother Feng would be responsible for my father's death. There must be some mistake. Please explain it to us." With a dark chuckle, Han Shifeng revealed the truth. "There is no mistake, Shuang. It was indeed Brother Feng who killed Mr. Fen." Fan Shuang was shocked and stuttered, What? "To help you understand, let me explain," Han Shifeng continued. "Your father did many things that deeply hurt and angered Brother Feng. His betrayal of my tribe was a great disappointment and a source of anger for Brother Feng. He was further infuriated by your father's announcement of an alliance with Wang Jian." At the mention of his name, Wang Jian's face broke into a smile. Fan Shuang was still reeling in shock as she tried to process the revelation. "Brother Feng killed my father for these reasons?" she repeated in disbelief. "A few days after announcing his alliance with Wang Jian, your father set up a camp near our lair and invited Brother Feng for a meeting. I don't exactly know what went wrong in the meeting as he refused to give me details, but Brother Feng was infuriated enough to attack your father. You know what happened after that." Han Shifeng concluded the story. As Han Shifeng spoke, Fan Shuang's memory was jolted by the note she had found near her father's canvas. Realization dawned on her as she thought, "It must have been during that meeting that Brother Feng discovered my father's secret collaboration with Wang Jian. That means someone within our clan is aware of the secret and has leaked it to me and then to Brother Feng." Fan Shuang was seething with anger towards the traitor in her midst. But her anger wasn't solely directed at the informant, she was also beginning to feel a growing resentment towards Lin Feng. How could he have acted so recklessly? She fumed as she thought about it. He attacked my father without even verifying the truth of that letter. He didn't even think to inform me, his fiancée, of what was going on. He didn't even consider how this would impact my clan's future. I was a fool to ever trust him, she thought, her eyes flashing with anger. I gave him my love and my loyalty, and he repaid me with this? Her mind whirled with dark thoughts as she imagined the various ways she could make him pay for his actions. She vowed, her eyes flashing with a fierce intensity, "I will show him no mercy, no pity. He will suffer for what he's done, and I will relish every moment of it." Wang Jian could easily read her thoughts by the look on her face. He gazed at Han Shifeng and nodded slightly. It was time to wrap up this meeting. At this moment, Wang Jian's guards suddenly barged inside and spoke, "Your Highness. We saw these women plant suspicious time around the outpost." Wang Jian raised his brow upon hearing those words. He looked in Han Shifeng's direction and noticed she was smiling. Before Wang Jian could realize the meaning behind that smile, the entire outpost shook with a violent tremor that sent everyone staggering to maintain their balance. In a sudden burst of motion, Han Shifeng bolted out of the door with her subordinates, leaving the outpost in haste. What is going on? Fan Shuang wondered aloud as she struggled to maintain her balance. Wang Jian's sharp eye caught Han Shifeng's movements, and he realized what was happening. A chilling smirk slowly crept onto his lips as he savored the unfolding of events. What an interesting development. It appears that this woman purposely selected this outpost for the meeting due to its proximity to the Thundering Hemlock Woods, where she could utilize her herb to attract the nearby beasts and initiate a beast horde. She wants to kill the two of us. Is it to preserve her secret? Most likely. However, isn't she too foolish? She knows that I am a Lord Realm expert, and even dozens of Origin Realm beasts would never harm M. Wang Jian's thoughts were interrupted as he heard a deafening howl. This howl wasn't just sound, and it was also infused with powerful qi. Powerful qi that could only belong to a Lord Realm beast. We need to leave immediately. Fen Shuiying shouted. Wang Jian nodded his head as he spoke. Grab my hand. My speed is much greater than yours. Fen Shuiying had no time to hesitate as the tremors intensified. The Lord-ranked beast was coming closer. Wang Jian held her soft hand and immediately rushed outside the outpost. As the two finally left the outpost, they witnessed the sight ahead of them. Even Wang Jian was startled as he saw dozens of beasts charging towards them at full speed. All these beasts appeared to be lightning attribute beasts. Some were lightning stags, bolt jackals, tempest strider, electric snakes and many more. However, Wang Jian wasn't scared of these beasts. The beast that actually caught his eye was none other than the largest beast among them all. It was a thunderbolt behemoth. Thunderbolt behemoth is a massive beast that towers over most creatures with its massive, muscular frame. Its fur is a deep shade of midnight blue, and it crackles with sparks of electricity, highlighting the rippling muscles beneath. Its eyes, a fierce shade of yellow, seem to glow with an inner fire, and its razor-sharp claws and fangs glint in the light. Thunderbolt Behemoth's body is built for strength and speed, with powerful legs that allow it to move with incredible agility. Its chest is broad and imposing, and its thick neck supports a massive head with a wide, powerful jaw. Its roar is like thunder, reverberating through the air and striking fear into the hearts of its enemies. It's heading straight for us. Fen Shuiying exclaimed. Wang Jian grunted in agreement as he heard her words. He was thinking how he should resolve this situation. It wasn't that he was scared of facing this beast. If I utilize my full power, I can defeat it. But, how else can I take advantage of this situation? As Wang Jian held Fen Shuiying tightly in his arms, he gazed at her with a calculating look. I must play my cards carefully, he thought to himself. I will reveal only the power at Origin Realm. He sprinted towards his mansion, clutching Fen Shuiying's hand as they ran. She felt like she was flying through the air, unable to even touch the ground with her feet. But the sight before her eyes was nothing short of pure horror. The beasts were gaining on them with every passing second, their ferocious roars echoing in her ears. Fen Shuiying spoke up, urging Wang Jian to release her. Please let me go. You can escape without me. They won't catch up. Wang Jian let out a contemptuous sigh as he thought to himself, and here comes the melodrama. Shut it! Wang Jian responded coldly. Leave me. You can at least save yourself, then. If you remain stubborn, both of us will die, Fen Shuiying shouted. Wang Jian remained silent as he continued to run. Check new CHDers at novilbin.com. Fen Shuiying continued to demand him to leave her, but Wang Jian ignored her. As the beasts closed in on them, Fen Shuiying's heart raced with terror. She had never imagined that she would one day be chased by fierce creatures before, and now they were all around her, teeth bared and claws ready to strike. But as she looked up at Wang Jian, she saw a fierce determination in his eyes that gave her hope. Without letting go of Fen Shuiying's hand, Wang Jian used his origin fist to punch the ground, creating a shockwave that sent several beasts flying. He then followed up with a beam of destruction, a burst of flame that struck down several more. The remaining beasts lunged forward, but Wang Jian summoned his mystic force, creating a powerful barrier of pure qi that blocked their attacks. Fen Shuiying could only watch in awe as Wang Jian fought with the grace and skill of a true warrior. He moved quickly, dodging the beasts' attacks and striking back with precision and force. And through it all, he never let go of her hand, keeping her safe from harm. But as the battle raged on, Fen Shuiying suddenly found herself in danger. One of the beasts had broken through Wang Jian's defenses and was charging straight at her. Just as it was about to strike, Wang Jian leapt forward, using his divine shielding iron body to withstand the beast's attack and save her life. The beast let out a loud roar, preparing to attack again. But before it could, Wang Jian unleashed a devastating blow with the origin fist, shattering the beast's skull. At this moment, the other beasts suddenly lunged at him, but he was too fast. He dodged and weaved, his fists connecting with their bodies with deadly accuracy. Suddenly, Wang Jian sensed the presence of an even more formidable foe approaching. He turned to face the Thunderbolt Behemoth, a massive creature with crackling lightning coursing through its body. Its eyes glowed with an ominous blue light as it prepared to attack. Wang Jian knew that he would have to utilize his trump card if he wanted to continue to conceal his cultivation. He drew upon his spirit and summoned the twin-headed dark flame python. As he called upon the spirit's power, his flames grew hotter, and his attacks became even more ferocious. The thunderbolt behemoth roared and charged towards Wang Jian, its massive claws tearing up the earth beneath it. But Wang Jian was ready, and with a mighty roar of his own, he unleashed a torrent of fire at the behemoth. The flames engulfed the behemoth, scorching its fur and sending it reeling back in agony. But the behemoth was not so easily defeated, and it retaliated with a bolt of lightning that crackled through the air towards Wang Jian. Wang Jian dodged the lightning bolt with a deft movement and countered with another fierce attack. The twin-headed dark flame python glowed brightly as it unleashed a devastating blast of fire that struck the behemoth head-on. The impact of the attack was immense, and the thunderbolt behemoth roared in pain as it was knocked back several feet. But it was not yet defeated, and it charged towards Wang Jian once more, its eyes gleaming with rage. The twin-headed dark flame python suddenly released flame energy that revolved around Wang Jian's fist as he utilized the origin fist. The air crackled with energy as his fist connected with the beast's hide, sending a shockwave through the forest. The thunderbolt behemoth staggered back, its lightning aura flickering. Wang Jian followed up with the beam of destruction, unleashing a beam of fiery energy from his palm that scorched the ground as it tore towards the beast. The thunderbolt behemoth countered with a blast of lightning. This blast of lightning easily pierced through the beam of destruction and was about to strike Wang Jian and Fen Shuiying. However, Wang Jian immediately activated his divine shielding iron body, taking the attack head-on. The battle between the two raged on, with Wang Jian utilizing his skills to keep the beast at bay. He used the mystic force to cloak himself in a shimmering shield of energy, deflecting the beast's attacks. Undeterred, the thunderbolt behemoth charged again, but Wang Jian was ready. He summoned the mystic force, which shrouded his body in a nimbus of flames and launched a beam of destruction at the beast. The beam struck the thunderbolt behemoth with incredible force, driving it back and leaving it dazed. Wang Jian took advantage of the opening and continued his attack, unleashing a series of devastating blows with his origin fist, each one driving the thunderbolt behemoth back further. As the beast staggered, he felt it was time to launch that final attack. This was an attack belonging to his spirit. As the Inferno Annihilation was unleashed, a blazing inferno erupted from the twin-headed dark flame python spirit and enveloped the thunderbolt behemoth. Lightning crackled around the thunderbolt behemoth as it tried to summon the last bits of its energy to attack Wang Jian. Naturally, Wang Jian couldn't allow that. He immediately utilized the power of Qi at the Lord Realm to turn the flames even hotter. The flames were so powerful at this moment that the thunderbolt behemoth, once so fearsome and unstoppable, was reduced to ash and cinders. The Inferno Annihilation was a devastating attack that left a smoking crater where the thunderbolt behemoth once stood. The heat from the flames was intense, scorching the ground and leaving a trail of molten earth behind. Wang Jian's face was covered in sweat as he panted heavily, his chest heaving. As Wang Jian's fiery gaze fell upon the surrounding beasts, they instinctively backed away, trembling with fear. Even the thought of challenging him seemed ludicrous, as his sheer power was too intimidating to fathom. It was as if the mere sight of him made them realize their own helplessness, compelling them to retreat with their tails tucked between their legs. Fen Shuiying was awestruck as she witnessed the terrifying display of Wang Jian's power. Her eyes widened in amazement as she watched him effortlessly decimate the thunderbolt behemoth with his fiery spirit. She had never seen anything like this before and was left speechless at the sight of the overwhelming force he possessed. As the other beasts backed away from Wang Jian, she couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over her. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Wang Jian turned to her with a smile, relief washing over him. "I told you I wouldn't let anything happen to you," he said, his voice hoarse from the battle. Fen Shuiying nodded, a look of admiration on her face. She had initially despised Wang Jian, but now she saw him in a different light. He had shown her true courage and kindness in the face of danger, and she knew that she would never forget this moment for the rest of her life. Wang Jian noticed her expression and couldn't help but sigh contemptuously. "The fact that this cliché trick works so easily leaves a bad taste in my mouth." "Well, I guess it's cliché for a reason. Let's head home now. There is no telling when those beasts might return," Wang Jian spoke. "Right," Fen Shuiying spoke. As the beasts had destroyed their chariots and brutally massacred Wang Jian's guards, the only option left for them was to walk back to the estate. During their journey, Fen Shuiying closed the distance between them and reached out to grab Wang Jian's hand, willingly intertwining her fingers with his. Wang Jian's attention was caught by the reddish tint on her face that she seemed to be trying to hide out of embarrassment. His lips curled into a devious smile as he noticed this. As they entered the estate, a servant rushed to Lady Xia to inform her of the news. "Milady," the servant said, gasping for breath. "His Highness and young Miss have returned." Lady Xia was in her bedroom, reading a book, but upon hearing the news, she put it down and made her way to the living room to greet her daughter. As she reached the living room, Lady Xian saw her daughter and Wang Jian entering the door while holding hands. Lady Xia raised her eyebrows in surprise and smiled inwardly but made no comment about their gesture of affection. Fen Shuaing's face turned red when she saw her mother, and she quickly withdrew her hand from Wang Jian's grasp. She rushed over to Lady Xia and hugged her tightly, seeking comfort after their terrifying experience. "Mother, we were attacked by beasts on the way back," she exclaimed. Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. Lady Xia's eyes widened in shock. "What? Are you all right? Are you hurt?" she asked, quickly examining her daughter for any signs of injury. Fen Shuang shook her head. "No, I'm fine. Wang Jian protected me with all his might," she said, glancing over at Wang Jian with admiration in her eyes. Wang Jian simply smiled and nodded. "It was nothing, Lady Xia. I'm just glad that we both made it back safely," he said. Lady Xia looked at him with gratitude filling her eyes. "Thank you, Wang Jian. You have my gratitude for protecting my daughter," she said, bowing her head slightly. As the night wore on, Wang Jian took his leave and bowed respectfully to Lady Xia and Fen Shuang before exiting the estate. Fen Shuang watched him go with a sense of longing, feeling a strange pull towards him that she couldn't quite understand. Lady Xia noticed her daughter's contemplative expression and asked gently, "What are you thinking about, my dear?" Fen Shuang took a deep breath before speaking. "Mother, I have something to tell you." "It's about Lin Feng," she said, her voice shaking. Lady Xia raised her brow as she saw the seriousness in her daughter's eyes. "What is it, my dear?" she asked. Fen Shuang took another deep breath. "I found out that Lin Feng was the one who killed father," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lady Xia's eyes widened in shock. "What? How did you find out?" she asked, concern etched on her face. Fen Shuang explained everything that had happened in the meeting and how she had come to know the truth. "I don't know what to do, mother. How could I have been so blind?" she said, tears streaming down her face. Lady Xia placed a comforting hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You were in love, my dear. It's easy to overlook things when we're blinded by love," she said, trying to console her daughter. Fen Shuang wiped away a tear and looked up at her mother. "And that's why I feel so foolish," she said. "When I compare Wang Jian to Lin Feng, I realize how much better Wang Jian is in every way. He's more handsome, he has better status, he's more powerful, brave, and has a good personality." Lady Xia smiled knowingly. "Yes, my dear, I have noticed how Wang Jian looks at you," she said. "He seems to care for you deeply." Fen Shuang blushed at those words. "He's been so kind to me, mother," she said. "He protected me today and made sure I was safe. And when we were walking back to the estate, he held my hand, I felt so safe with him." Lady Xia's smile grew wider. "Well, my dear, I think that tells you all you need to know," she said. "Wang Jian is a good man, and he clearly cares for you. Maybe it's time for you to consider him as a potential partner." Fen Shuang nodded thoughtfully, feeling a sense of warmth in her chest at the thought of being with Wang Jian. "Thank you, mother. I'll think about it," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. The two women continued to talk about this matter for some more time. However, they had no idea that Wang Jian was listening into their conversation. He had secretly used a shadow clone technique to create a clone of himself, which had taken a position in the shadows near the room. As Wang Jian listened to the conversation, a sinister grin spread across his face. His eyes glimmered with a twisted and malevolent desire for Lady Xia's body, and he reveled in the thought of finally achieving his goal. "At last, Lady Xia has played her part perfectly," he thought to himself, savoring the feeling of power and control. Wang Jian began checking out the notifications from the system. "Congratulations, host. Your schemes have completely broken the trust between heroine Fen Shuang and protagonist Lin Feng. You are rewarded with 3,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. Your schemes have successfully caused heroine Fen Shuang to develop a strong hatred towards protagonist Lin Feng. You are rewarded with 3,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. Your manipulation has led to further changes in the mentality of heroine Han Shifeng. She has even begun to scheme, something which she entirely loathed earlier. You are rewarded with 2,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. Your bravery and heroics have successfully impressed heroine Fan Shuiying, and she now has a positive impression of you. You are rewarded with 2,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. Your schemes have successfully made heroine Fan Shuiying develop romantic feelings for you. You are rewarded with 5,000 destiny points. Congratulations, host. Your schemes have made heroine Fan Shuiying consider you as a potential partner. You are rewarded with 3,000 destiny points. Through these, Wang Jian earned a total of 18,000 destiny points. Name, Wang Jian. Age, 20 years old. Destiny points, 134,111. Cultivation, first stage of the Lord Realm. Cultivation technique, Soaring Dragon Technique, level 3, requires 100,000 destiny points to level up. Skills, Origin Fist, Beam of Destruction, Mystic Force, Divine Shielding Iron Body, True Eyes, Spiritual Sensitivity, Moonrise Fist, Lunar Shield, Moonshadow Step, Shadow Manipulation, Dark Fog, Eclipse Domain Annihilation, and Tranquil Mind Divine Mantra. Bloodline, Blue Moon Eclipse Devil Bloodline. Second level, next level, 500,000. Physique, Chaotic Yang Body, Dormant. Spirit, Twin-Headed Dark Flame Python, 6-star Spirit, Mutated. Weaknesses, Holy Attribute. Solar Attribute. Wang Jian wondered how he should invest his points. He didn't feel like upgrading his cultivation technique as his qi was sufficiently strong. And merely increasing his cultivation to the 9th stage of the Lord Realm also felt like a waste. I guess I will keep them in store for now. As Wang Jian made his way back to his grand mansion, his thoughts were consumed with the stunning Kong Huiyan. However, his focus was abruptly interrupted by a powerful aura that was quickly approaching his residence. Wang Jian's expression grew dark as he activated his spiritual sensitivity, scanning the area for this individual. Within moments, Wang Jian homed in on the intruder's exact location, mere miles away from his opulent mansion. Without a moment's hesitation, he launched himself into action, moving with lightning speed to intercept the mysterious individual before they could even set foot on his property. Wang Jian was caught off guard when he came face to face with none other than Lin Feng himself, who wore a bewildered expression. In a moment of synchronicity, they both posed the same question: "What are you doing here?" The perplexed expression on Lin Feng's face quickly transformed into a mask of rage as he bellowed, "Excellent! I was looking for you, anyway. Where are Huiyan and Xiener? What have you done to them?" His tone was seething with fury, leaving no doubt that he was beyond irate. As Lin Feng raged with anger, Wang Jian's shocked expression quickly morphed into a sinister smirk. He replied with a taunting tone, "Why do you ask? Huiyan and Xiener are my women, and they are quite content in my company. Perhaps you should mind your own business." "Lies. How dare you suggest that my women would willingly live with a despicable monster like you?" Lin Feng roared with fury, his grip tightening around the 9 heavenly lightning sword. The sacred lightning crackled with golden fury, ready to strike at any moment. Wang Jian sneered with contempt, "Your beliefs mean nothing to me. The reality is that those women are under my roof, and to be honest, they've proven to be quite useful in serving my needs." "Arrogant scum! You have crossed the line." Lin Feng bellowed with an overwhelming rage that seemed to shake the very foundation of the earth. Trembling with wrath, Lin Feng wielded the heavenly sword in his hand, unleashing a ferocious bolt of lightning directly at Wang Jian. Sensing the imminent danger, Wang Jian's instincts kicked in, and he deftly evaded the lightning strike. As the bolt grazed past him, Wang Jian's keen senses alerted him to the sheer power of the holy qi coursing through the lightning. He knew that if the bolt had struck him, even he would suffer severe injuries. Find updates on n/v/elbin.co/m. In a moment of crisis, Wang Jian's thoughts were drawn to the section in his status report that warned of his vulnerability to holy qi. Holy attribute, he thought cautiously, this lightning must possess it. I can't afford to let it strike me. As he watched Lin Feng unleash the full power of his lightning qi, Wang Jian couldn't help but raise his brows in question. This guy is lucky, he mused, he possesses one of my 2 weaknesses. And even though he's only at the origin realm, the power of his lightning qi is nearly on par with that of a Lord Realm beast. Should I try to kill him? Wang Jian contemplated this possibility. By utilizing his True Eyes ability, Wang Jian compared his luck to Lin Feng's. Luck. Host, 3219. Lin Feng, 3761. It's not much higher than mine. But the question is, why is it still higher? I have already taken away 3 of his women. Is Han Shifeng that crucial to him, or am I missing something? While Wang Jian was lost in contemplation, Lin Feng saw this as an opportunity and unleashed his lightning-based techniques. Lin Feng utilized the Holy Thunderclap, a technique that caused lightning to rain down from the sky. But Wang Jian was too quick, using his Moonshadow Step to dodge the lightning bolts. Wang Jian retaliated with Origin Fist, a devastating punch that sent a shockwave through the air. Lin Feng managed to dodge, but the ground beneath his feet crumbled from the impact. But Wang Jian was not finished. He followed up with a beam of destruction, a beam of light that shot forth from his outstretched hand, obliterating everything in its path. Lin Feng tried to dodge, but the beam was too fast, and he was hit squarely in the chest. He felt his body shudder as the energy coursed through him, leaving him reeling and gasping for breath. Wang Jian pressed his advantage, summoning his mystic force to surround himself in a swirling vortex of qi energy. Lin Feng frowned as he saw that Wang Jian had utilized a technique to boost his energy even further. In that earlier exchange, Lin Feng had gauged that Wang Jian's qi was much superior compared to his own. It was only the special nature of his qi that he could fight Wang Jian on equal terms. But that didn't scare him. Meanwhile, Wang Jian refrained from utilizing his techniques related to the devil bloodline to attack Lin Feng. The only technique of his devil bloodline he utilized until now was the Moonshadow Step. But that was to dodge those deadly thunderbolts. You have improved quite a lot, Wang Jian commented. Lin Feng spat while glaring at his adversary. I can say the same about you. I never imagined that you would be a Lord Realm cultivator. You really hid your true strength too deeply. Wang Jian rolled his eyes as he didn't even feel like responding to that dull comment. Lin Feng executed the lightning step, propelling himself at lightning speed towards Wang Jian while leaving behind a trail of afterimages. Although Wang Jian could effortlessly follow Lin Feng's rapid movement, he still remained rooted in his position. With precision, Lin Feng unleashed several thunderbolt slashes from multiple angles, each strike capable of inflicting immense damage on Wang Jian. Despite the ferocity of the attacks, Wang Jian stood firm, his body shimmering with a silver radiance, signaling the activation of the divine shielding iron body. As the sacred lightning's holy attribute coursed through his body, Wang Jian withstood the agonizing pain and suddenly reflected these attacks back at Lin Feng. Caught off guard, Lin Feng found himself on the receiving end of his own attacks, his expression betraying his surprise and disbelief. A thunderbolt slash struck him squarely on his chest and flung him away. Wang Jian immediately approached Lin Feng while utilizing Moonshadow Step. Lin Feng's body trembled as he struggled to stand up. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth, a sign of the severe injury he had sustained from that earlier attack. Despite the excruciating pain, Lin Feng refused to give up. He knew that continuing to fight with his current approach would lead to his defeat. With his determination and willpower, he had to rely on his spirit to turn the tide of the battle. The Celestial Storm Tiger. It was Lin Feng's formidable spirit, which he had unlocked with the aid of a mystical treasure from the Mystic Angel tribe. This spirit was the source of his lightning and holy attributes. As Wang Jian caught a glimpse of the spirit, he sensed the twin-headed dark flame viper within him stirring restlessly. He judged from the spirit's aura alone that the Celestial Storm Tiger surpassed his own spirit by a significant margin. Moreover, with the sacred qi emanating from it, it wouldn't be surprising if the Celestial Storm Tiger overwhelmed his spirit. Standing at just over 4 feet tall, the Celestial Storm Tiger was not particularly large. However, its lithe body was densely packed with energy, giving it a compact and muscular appearance. Its head was adorned with curved, lightning-shaped horns that crackled with energy, and its eyes were a bright, piercing blue that seemed to sparkle with electricity. The Celestial Storm Tiger let out a fierce roar as it locked onto Wang Jian and in a flash, pounced towards him, unleashing a powerful ability known as Thunderous Claws. With lightning energy crackling along the spirit's claws, it ferociously attacked Wang Jian. Naturally, Wang Jian dodged the initial attack by the spirit and quickly counterattacked with a powerful Origin Fist. This time, Wang Jian had no fear of killing Lin Feng, so he utilized his full strength. Rather than directly striking the Celestial Storm Tiger, Wang Jian released a potent chi blast that sent the spirit hurtling away. Read latest ch.n/v.e.lbi.co/m. Lin Feng quickly rose to his feet and charged towards Wang Jian with the 9 heavenly lightning sword, attempting to impale him. Wang Jian skillfully evaded the attack and countered with an elbow strike, following up with a precisely aimed origin fist that landed squarely on Lin Feng's body. While he held back to avoid killing Lin Feng, the power of the strike was still significant, sending Lin Feng tumbling to the ground. Weak! Wang Jian spat in disdain. I will kill you! Lin Feng bellowed angrily. He rose with pure determination shining in his eyes as he began to approach Wang Jian. The celestial spirit tiger also arose and walked towards Wang Jian with a dangerous look in its eyes. The celestial storm tiger growled fiercely as it lifted its head and summoned a powerful lightning ball between its jaws. The ball glowed with an intense brightness, crackling and hissing with electricity as it grew in size. Just as Wang Jian planned to deal with this attack, Lin Feng leapt at him. His entire body was shining with a golden light. In an instant, he began unleashing a flurry of quick, precise slashes with his shimmering blade blitz technique. Each slash was executed with flawless precision and incredible speed, creating a blur of motion as Lin Feng closed in on Wang Jian. Wang Jian had to pay complete concentration to dodge these attacks. In the meantime, the celestial storm tiger's attack grew in size. This was its cataclysmic holy lightning ball, one of its strongest attacks. Once it had grown large enough, the celestial storm tiger roared as it hurled this ball at its target. Even though Lin Feng was standing so close, he wasn't worried. It was because this attack came from his own spirit. And it wouldn't harm him. Wang Jian utilized the beam of destruction to detonate this lightning ball. It worked perfectly. As the cataclysmic holy lightning ball erupted, a blinding light engulfed the entire area, making it impossible to see anything. The thunderous explosion echoed for miles, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Wang Jian made a calculated decision to eliminate the celestial storm tiger as it posed a significant threat to him. His body was enveloped in an intense aura as he activated the mystic force, augmenting his already formidable power. With unparalleled speed, he utilized the Moonshadow Step to quickly close the gap between him and the spirit. He unleashed a devastating origin fist imbued with his entire essence, causing a deafening explosion on impact. The force of his attack completely obliterated the celestial storm tiger, leaving no trace of it behind. Lin Feng employed his utmost effort to prevent Wang Jian from annihilating his spirit, yet he was unsuccessful in doing so. As the celestial storm tiger was vanquished, Lin Feng's soul was racked with excruciating pain. This was due to the direct connection between the spirit and his soul, which made the loss of the spirit feel like a devastating blow to his being. Despite the immense agony racking his body, Lin Feng refused to cry out. With clenched teeth, he glared daggers at Wang Jian. In the aftermath of the battle, Lin Feng had come to a sobering realization: he was still too weak to face his adversary head-on. If he truly wanted to achieve his ambition, he knew he had to grow far stronger than he was now. With sudden swiftness, Lin Feng raised his sword and unleashed the lightning flash technique. Wang Jian's body instinctively tensed up, anticipating an attack, but it was actually an escape technique that Lin Feng employed. With a flash of lightning, Lin Feng darted into the depths of the mellow magnolia woods at an incredible speed. Although this technique enabled Lin Feng to travel at breakneck speed, it wasn't meant for short distances. Abruptly halting his momentum would cause significant harm to his body. Wang Jian didn't pursue Lin Feng. It wasn't that he was incapable, but because he didn't want to kill this guy yet. Through this battle, Wang Jian realized that Lin Feng wasn't a threat to him. His spirit was sufficiently powerful. Well, as expected of a protagonist. He ought to have some cheats, Wang Jian muttered as he slowly headed back to the mansion. While he was on his way, Wang Jian wondered about the reason behind Lin Feng's presence. He must have come to meet Su Xian and Kong Huiyan. But why did he seem surprised upon seeing me? Suddenly, Wang Jian recalled Han Shifeng, and a realization flashed in his eyes: Han Shifeng must have thought that I was killed or gravely injured while dealing with that beast Rush. She must have informed Lin Feng to enter the mansion during this time to meet his wives. What a scheming woman. She needs to be handled quickly. A smirk appeared on Wang Jian's face as he decided this. He was happy that he had corrupted that pure angel so greatly that she was even preparing schemes like this, even if it was against him. This was all going according to plan. Read latest ch at n/v-e-lbi.co/m. Wang Jian returned to his mansion and strode confidently through the opulent halls, his footsteps echoing off the marble floors. With a sly grin on his face, Wang Jian reached Kong Huiyan's chambers and silently pushed open the door. The room was shrouded in peaceful orange light from the lantern, with Kong Huiyan seated on the bed in a meditative state. Kang Huiyan. He tiptoed towards her, making sure to suppress the sound of his footsteps. Once he was close enough, he suddenly snaked his arms around Kang Huiyan's waist, causing her to jump in shock. Kang Huiyan quickly turned around, ready to attack her assailant, but when she saw that it was Wang Jian, her expression relaxed instinctively. Wang Jian's arms tightened around her waist as he pressed himself closer to her, relishing the feeling of her body against his. He whispered in her ear, his voice low and seductive, "Did I startle you, my dear?" As Wang Jian's arms tightened around her waist, Kang Huiyan felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She knew all too well the reason for his sudden appearance in her chambers. Despite this, she refused to give him the satisfaction of a response, her face set in a mask of stoicism. She had prepared herself for this moment, fortifying her heart and mind every day. Wang Jian couldn't help but notice her calmness, and it infuriated him. He took pleasure in destroying her peace of mind. "Do you know who I met just a little while ago? It was your beloved, Lin Feng." Kang Huiyan's heart skipped a beat at the mention of Lin Feng's name, and fear took hold of her. She couldn't help but ask, What? Why did you meet him?" "I didn't have to go to him. He came to me begging for answers. He couldn't fathom why two of his women had submitted to me." Wang Jian chuckled darkly, his eyes glittering with wicked delight as his right hand groped Kang Huiyan's buttocks. Kang Huiyan's heart raced with anxiety as she asked with a trembling voice, "What did you tell him?" Wang Jian responded with a smug grin, "Naturally, I told him the truth. That you and Su Xian have served me quite well, just as I expected." It was amusing to see him seethe with anger, but he didn't dare to take any action against me. What a pathetic excuse for a lover he is. Even after finding out that I am sleeping with you and Su Xian, he was more worried about his own miserable life than avenging your honor. Brother Feng did nothing? Kang Huiyan's heart shattered into a million pieces at the revelation of Lin Feng's inaction. The pain was unbearable, as if 1,000 knives had been thrust into her chest. Despite enduring Wang Jian's violation countless times, Kang Huiyan clung to the hope that Lin Feng would come to her rescue and that he would be the hero she always believed him to be. But Wang Jian's words shattered her dreams. The man she thought would save her didn't even have the courage to confront Wang Jian after learning the truth. The realization left her utterly broken and shattered. Wang Jian observed her reaction, where it seemed as though tears would leak out of her eyes at any moment. He spoke in a mocking tone, "You truly deserve to feel this sorrow. Had you not loved such a spineless coward, you wouldn't be experiencing these emotions now." These words struck a chord in Kang Huiyan's mind as she found herself agreeing with him. "It seems I was foolish for still holding feelings for you in my heart," Kang Huiyan thought bitterly. As she experienced a mix of emotions, a depraved thought crossed her mind, "If Brother Feng won't help me, then why should I resist any longer? I might as well begin to enjoy it." Soon, the two disrobed themselves, revealing their bare flesh to the dimly lit room. Their movements were frenzied, passionate, and filled with pleasure. As Wang Jian explored every inch of Kang Huiyan's body, he couldn't help but feel satisfied with her responses. Her moans were unrestrained, and she didn't try to hide the pleasure that coursed through her. In fact, as Wang Jian thrust inside her, he saw an excited gleam in her eyes, a look of pure ecstasy that told him she was truly enjoying the experience. Kang Huiyan's mind had undergone a complete transformation, one that she didn't even realize. Her mental state had become desensitized to the traumatic events that had befallen her, and her thoughts had taken a depraved turn. No longer did she seek a way out of her predicament, but instead, she had accepted her fate and began to consider ways to turn it to her advantage. It was a path that would have once been unthinkable for her, but now she saw no other path than this. Kang Huiyan's back arched as she felt his member hit her deepest spot. "Aw, your thing is hitting so deep. Aw, it feels so damn good," she moaned. Wang Jian's hands roamed all over her body, squeezing her breasts and pinching her nipples. "Oh yes, yes, this is it," she shouted in pleasure. Kang Huiyan could feel the orgasm building inside her. "I'm gonna come," she whimpered, on the brink of orgasm. Wang Jian, feeling her body quivering beneath him, reached down and spanked her hard on the ass. "Yes. Spank me. Spank me harder," she shouted with a depraved look in her eyes. As she neared her climax, Kang Huiyan couldn't hold back her desires any longer. "Come inside me. Fill me with your seed," she shouted while losing herself to pleasure. Finally, with a deep grunt, Wang Jian reached his peak and emptied himself inside her. Kang Huiyan collapsed beneath him, her body slick with sweat and their juices. However, Kang Huiyan knew from her previous experience that Wang Jian was hardly done. In fact, this was just a warm-up. Wang Jian withdrew his member from her body, his voice commanding as he spoke, "Suck it clean." Kang Huiyan's gaze fixated on his massive, glistening cock that dripped with a mixture of fluids. She wondered how she would ever fit the thing in her mouth. Despite the mild disgust that filled her, she couldn't deny the tingling excitement that coursed through her body at the thought of fulfilling Wang Jian's order. Wang Jian held her head as she began sucking him with great enthusiasm. "Ah. Yes. This is the way, be faster, take it even deeper." Wang Jian whispered as he instinctively applied force on Kang Huiyan's head to make his cock reach even deeper. After a while, he ejaculated into her mouth, and Kang Huiyan swallowed it without any hesitation. The sticky liquid, however, was too much as it dribbled out of the corners of her mouth. Wang Jian slowly pulled his member out of her mouth. It caused more of his cum to spill out of Kang Huiyan's mouth. As Wang Jian pulled his member out of her mouth, Kang Huiyan eagerly licked the remnants off her lips, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and shame. Wang Jian's eyes gleamed with lust as he whispered for her to turn around. Kang Huiyan obeyed, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. Wang Jian raised her leg and inserted his member inside her, and they began a passionate session of lovemaking. He took her in multiple positions, hitting all her pleasure points and driving her wild with ecstasy. As the night wore on, Kang Huiyan's body was marked with bite marks on her breasts and reddish bruises on her buttocks, but she didn't care. After dozens of rounds, they finally collapsed onto the bed, utterly satisfied. As the sun began to rise, Wang Jian and Kang Huiyan stirred from their slumber, their bare bodies entangled in the sheets. With a languid stretch, they climbed out of bed and made their way to the bathroom for a quick shower. After a few minutes, the two were indulging each other in a quick round of passionate sex in the bathroom, enjoying each other's naked bodies. Kang Huiyan savored the sensation of the hot water raining down on her as Wang Jian pressed himself against her from behind, kissing her neck and fondling her breasts. Once they were done, they returned to the room, their bodies still glistening with water. Kang Huiyan looked for her clothes, but they were nowhere to be found. She remembered the previous night, how they had stripped naked before getting down to business. Wang Jian, on the other hand, seemed unfazed and began dressing up with a self-assured swagger. As she slipped into her dress, Kang Huiyan couldn't help but feel a sense of shame and disgust at herself for what had happened. Despite the deepening pit of guilt, she couldn't deny the raw pleasure she experienced with Wang Jian. She knew deep down that what she had done was a twisted form of revenge against Lin Feng. "You have finally begun to enjoy the pleasure," Wang Jian commented with a depraved smile on his face. Kang Huiyan shifted her gaze away, feeling uneasy as she nibbled on her lower lip. After a brief pause, she uttered in a low voice, "Why do you treat me so despicably?" "Previously, it was because you belonged to Lin Feng," Wang Jian replied indifferently, "but now, it's simply because I relish the sight of you writhing under me. Perhaps if your actions were more noble and kind, our relationship would have taken a different course," Kang Huiyan stated. "This is no point thinking of such a possibility. Instead, you should think more about how you are going to live from this point," Wang Jian responded as he left the room. The conversation was pretty much over for him. After Wang Jian left, Kang Huiyan couldn't help but contemplate deeply, "After what happened last night, I can never turn back. I should focus on increasing my strength. Only then can I regain control of my fate." Wang Jian strode through the mansion and soon found himself in the company of Su Xian. He led her to a spacious hall, the Spirit Awakening Hall, which lay empty and barren. The hall had been designed to enable the warriors or even guards in Wang Jian's mansion to awaken their spirits and harness their inner strength. As the duo stepped inside, a pair of maids hastened over and began preparing the necessary items for the Spirit Awakening ritual. They lit a bundle of fragrant incense sticks and placed them in a brass censer, which emitted a thick cloud of smoke that wafted through the air. Meanwhile, the Spirit Awakening artifact consists of a small metallic orb about the size of a fist, with intricate designs etched all over its surface. It is made of a special alloy of metals and infused with a rare crystal that emits a faint glow. This artifact was placed over the cloud of smoke, and it levitated effortlessly. The smoke fused with the power within the artifact, creating a mysterious energy. This mysterious energy felt somewhat familiar to Wang Jian as he thought, "Isn't this similar to the system's energy that provides me with those benefits?" He then asked the system with a low voice, "System, is this the same as your energy?" Answering the host's question, "This energy is inferior compared to the system's energy. The core of our energy is the same as we utilize the world essence, but the energy within this orb can only awaken an individual's spirit. It has no other functionality. I see. Once the metallic orb was bustling with energy, Wang Jian spoke, place your hand over it and concentrate. This artifact will do the rest. MHM. Without hesitation, Su Xian complied with Wang Jian's orders and rested her hand on the orb. As soon as she made contact, the orb radiated a brilliant azure light that enveloped her entire body. The energy surged through Su Xian, causing her to levitate in the air. Her eyes were closed as she concentrated on channeling her spirit. Unknown to her, her spirit was taking the shape of a powerful bird, the Ice Phoenix. The bird gradually materialized and began to take flight within the hall, spreading its wings majestically. Get the latest chapters on n/velbin.com. Wang Jian's eyes widened with shock as he stared at this Ice Phoenix. However, he regained his composure quickly enough and thought, as expected of her identity as a heroine. I wonder what spirits Lin Feng's other women possess. Never really heard of it, Wang Jian thought. Wang Jian shook Su Xian and spoke, your spirit has awakened. You can stop concentrating now. Su Xian's body suddenly stopped levitating, and Wang Jian caught her before she fell to the ground. She weakly opened her eyes and finally saw her spirit. Even though she felt so weak after awakening this majestic spirit, she still smiled brightly. Thank you. Thank you, Jian, she suddenly kissed his lips. As the two continued to kiss, Su Xian lost her concentration to maintain the Ice Phoenix, and it gradually dematerialized as the spiritual energy returned to her body. The two finally parted after a couple of minutes. Get some rest, Xianer. I understand how draining the awakening process can be, Wang Jian spoke with gentle authority, leaving no room for objections. With great care, he lifted her up and carried her to her chambers, where he gently laid her on the soft bed, ensuring that she was comfortable. Quietly, he slipped out of the room, leaving Su Xian to rest and recover. After leaving Su Xian's chambers, Wang Jian headed towards Fen Shuaiying's estate. As it was still early afternoon, he felt that it would be an opportune time to spend some quality time with the woman. Given her current favorable impression of him, he knew that it was important to capitalize on the situation to its fullest extent. Wang Jian strolled with Fen Shuaiying in the courtyard of her estate, admiring the beautiful flowers and trees. They engaged in light conversation, discussing random matters like the weather and even food. As they continued walking, Fen Shuaiying suddenly started talking about her father and how he had taught her various skills, including martial arts and her responsibilities as the heiress of the Night Dagger clan. In turn, Wang Jian spoke of his status as a prince, revealing that he was the 7th prince of the everlasting mystic empire. Fen Shuaiying was shocked to learn that Wang Jian was the 7th prince of the everlasting mystic empire. She had never met a prince before and couldn't believe that she was spending time with one. As they continued their walk, they came across a beautiful pond. Wang Jian showed her how to fish as they spent their time. Without the two realizing, multiple hours passed as the sun began to set. Wang Jian and Fen Shuaiying strolled back to the estate, still enjoying the conversation they had in the courtyard. As they entered, Lady Xia, Fen Shuaiying's mother, came out to greet them. She smiled warmly and gestured for them to sit down at a nearby table. Lady Xia brewed some tea and poured it into 2 cups before handing them over to the guests. Please enjoy the tea, she said with a gentle voice. Wang Jian smiled back at her, thanking her for the tea as he took his cup. But as he sipped the hot liquid, his gaze couldn't help but wander to Lady Xiao's curves. He tried to hide his lecherous thoughts with a polite demeanor, but his eyes lingered on her a little too long, taking in her every feature. Lady Xia seemed oblivious to his perverted gaze as she served Fen Shuaiying her tea, chatting away about the day's events. But Wang Jian couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to have her under him. As the night crept in, Wang Jian rose from his seat, signaling his intention to depart from the estate. However, Lady Xia politely proposed, why don't you stay the night here? I am sure Shuaiying would be delighted. Yes. I still have lots to talk to you about, Fen Shuaiying spoke a bit too excitedly. Wang Jian pondered for a moment, considering the offer before ultimately acquiescing with a nod. If it's not an inconvenience, then I shall accept your gracious invitation, he replied with a smile. Lady Xiao's face lit up with delight at Wang Jian's response. Wonderful, she exclaimed before instructing a servant to prepare a guest room for him. Fen Shuaiying suggested they pass the time by playing some games. She led the way to a well-furnished room where they found various games laid out. Wang Jian was impressed by the collection, and the two began to play. As they sat together, enjoying a game of chess and some light conversation, Wang Jian finally decided to take the plunge. Shuaying, I must confess something to you, he said, his voice low and serious. I find myself attracted to you in a way that I can't ignore anymore. Fan Shuaying was taken aback by his sudden confession, and her heart raced with anticipation. She responded with a stutter, What do you mean? Wang Jian took a deep breath, and after some hesitation, he leaned in towards her and softly whispered, I mean that I have feelings for you. I don't know what to say, she stammered. I never expected that. I mean, you're a prince while I am just the heiress of a lowly tribe. Wang Jian reached out to take her hand in his own. Those things don't matter to me, Shuaying. What matters is the way you make me feel. You are special to me. Fan Shuaying's heart was pounding as she looked into his eyes, searching for any indication of his sincerity. After a moment, she finally gave in to her own feelings and whispered back, I like you too. Without them realizing it, the two leaned towards each other. Wang Jian pressed his lips against hers and pulled her into a passionate kiss. As the two broke apart, both breathing heavily, Fan Shuaying spoke, I have been wanting to do this for quite a while. Wang Jian's face lit up with a triumphant smile as he drew her closer, capturing her lips in a passionate kiss again. As they kissed, his hands began to wander, tracing the curves of her waist and sliding down to cup her shapely buttocks. The sensation of her soft skin beneath his fingertips sent a jolt of desire through him, and he couldn't resist squeezing her flesh gently. Fan Shuaying moaned softly, the sound sending a thrill through him as he deepened the kiss, his tongue seeking entrance into her mouth. As they kissed, he knew that he wanted more, much more, and he was certain that Fan Shuaying felt the same way. As their lips parted, Fan Shuaying couldn't help but gasp heavily as she spoke, You are so naughty. Hee, this is just the start, Wang Jian whispered with a smirk. Fan Shuaying tried to get out of his grasp, but Wang Jian pulled her in for a third kiss. It didn't take long for Fan Shuaying to melt into a passion. Her emotions were stimulated perfectly, and her logical mind stopped working for some time. She was so lost in passion that she didn't realize when her body had reached the bed. As she kissed Wang Jian for the fourth time, she didn't realize when Wang Jian tore her clothes, and she became completely naked for him. As their lust intensified, Fan Shuaying was consumed by her overwhelming desire. The intensity of her raw emotions was something she had never felt before, and it drove her wild with passion. Wang Jian's massive member penetrated her virgin body, causing a mix of pain and pleasure. But as they continued, Fan Shuaying's pleasure soared to a new level, and she found herself lost in a world of pure ecstasy. Wang Jian was overjoyed at the sensation of her tightness, relishing the experience of taking her virginity. As they continued, their desire for each other reached new heights, and they were consumed by their passionate lovemaking. It didn't take long for the night to pass. The next day, Wang Jian awoke much earlier than Fan Shuaying. He ordered a maid to bring a dress from her chambers. The maid obeyed his orders and brought this dress. She was dismissed after this task. Wang Jian shook Fan Shuaying and jolted her awake. Once she woke up, she was startled to see the room and the condition of the bed sheets. Very quickly, the memory of the previous night returned to her. She immediately stared at Wang Jian staring at her with a perverted gleam in his eyes. She couldn't help but throw a pillow and shout, You rascal. You couldn't wait, could you? Wang Jian easily deflected that pillow while responding, Nope. It's all because you are too beautiful. Fan Shuaying suddenly paused as she was about to hurl the second pillow at Wang Jian. She shyly asked, Really? Do you really think that? Nopes. Wang Jian responded as he quickly left the room. Fan Shuaying was instantly angered as she threw the pillow at him, but it struck the door. After Wang Jian was gone, Fan Shuaying stood up and immediately stumbled as she fell on the floor. The last night was really too intense for her, and she couldn't even walk straight. Fan Shuaying had to utilize her qi to suppress this pain and then wear the dress that the maid had brought. After wearing that dress, she headed out while enduring that pain. She couldn't help but grit her teeth, damn it. That bastard is so heartless. It was my first time, but he still did it so roughly. At this time, Wang Jian was seated in the grand dining hall, savoring the lavish breakfast spread before him, while Lady Xia sat across from him. A maid was dutifully serving him, refilling his cup with hot tea. Soon, Fan Shuaying entered the room and sat beside him as another maid brought her a plate of food. Wang Jian's eyes lingered on her as she ate, her rosy lips delicately nibbling on the food. So, how was your night? Lady Xia inquired, her voice filled with curiosity. Did you have fun playing those games? A knowing smile appeared on Wang Jian's face as he gazed at Fan Shuaying. It sure was fun. We were so engrossed that we didn't realize when the time passed. Wang Jian's smile widened as he cast a suggestive look towards Fan Shuang. It was a night I'll never forget, he said. We were so engrossed that we lost track of time. Fan Shuang blushed furiously as she averted her gaze, feeling embarrassed by his suggestive tone. Lady Xia remained unaware of the underlying meaning of his words as she gazed at them with a smile. I am delighted to hear that, Lady Xia spoke. As they finished their breakfast, Wang Jian stood up and said, It was a wonderful stay, but I should get going now. I have some work to attend to. Lady Xia smiled graciously, You're always welcome here. Please visit us again soon. After Wang Jian's encounter with Lin Feng, he had spent his nights in the company of Kong Huyan and Fan Shuang respectively. On the other hand, Lin Feng's luck wasn't as favorable. He had barely managed to reach the lair of the Miracle Angel tribe using the lightning flash technique. The tribe's members had treated him with a mixture of herbs and their healing techniques to aid in his recovery. As he regained enough strength to talk, Lin Feng revealed to Han Shifeng the details of his injuries sustained during the battle with Wang Jian. Han Shifeng was taken aback by the news of Lin Feng's encounter with Wang Jian, as she had never anticipated such an encounter. Get the latest chapters on n/velbin.com. She couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled deep within her since hearing about Lin Feng's encounter with Wang Jian. She couldn't help but worry that Wang Jian would come looking for her soon. The thought of facing Wang Jian filled her with fear and made her nights restless and sleepless. She would toss and turn in her bed, her mind racing with thoughts of what she would do if he showed up at her doorstep. There is a common saying that suggests dwelling on negative thoughts increases the probability of them manifesting into reality. This saying turned true in this situation as Han Shifeng received a message on her shadow, indicating that Wang Jian had sought her out. A sense of foreboding gripped her heart upon realizing that he had indeed come. Nonetheless, her anxiety was slightly alleviated by the fact that Wang Jian wished to meet her in secrecy. I shall take a stroll around the area, Han Shifeng declared, using this as an excuse to excuse herself from her comrades. It didn't take her long to reach the designated rendezvous, where Wang Jian was waiting for her. As she arrived, a sinister grin spread across his face, causing Han Shifeng's stomach to churn with unease. An air of nervousness surrounded Han Shifeng as she cautiously inquired, May I know why you summoned me today? Wang Jian's sinister smile remained plastered on his face as he ignored her question, his eyes fixed on her. You never expected to see me so soon, did you? Not after our last encounter, he remarked slyly. I have no idea what you may. Wang Jian rolled his eyes in disdain. Save your act. After I met Lin Feng that night, I understood your scheme. Before that meeting, I am pretty sure you used a special herb or another artifact to lure that Lord Realm Beast near the meeting. Han Shifeng's face paled as she realized that Wang Jian had figured out her plan. I don't know what you're talking about, she protested weakly. Wang Jian ignored her protests and continued with his explanation. While we were talking, your subordinate stuck multiple herbs within the outpost that generated a fragrance only beasts could smell. And using this method, you sent it a signal. As the leader of a region moved, the beasts from its surrounding gathered and thus that beast rush was formed. Han Shifeng's mind was racing as she tried to come up with a response, but Wang Jian wasn't finished yet. I can only guess your motives. It was most likely to bury me to prevent your secret from being revealed. After all, Lin Feng would probably commit suicide once he finds out that it was his dear wife that helped me sleep with another one of his women. He finished speaking with that sinister grin on his face. Han Shifeng was extremely startled to hear Wang Jian's statement that he slept with one of Lin Feng's women. She couldn't believe that Wang Jian would sleep with Fan Shuang. What do you mean? How could she agree to sleep with you? Han Shifeng asked as her eyes widened in shock. Wang Jian's expression turned mocking. Of course, it was only possible through your help, my dear. Han Shifeng's eyes slowly widened in horror as she realized the true purpose of that meeting. It was to break the trust Fan Shuang held in Lin Feng. I didn't want this to happen, she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Indeed, that shouldn't be your foremost concern. You ought to be more focused on how you intend to quell my fury after making an attempt on my life, Wang Jian spoke. Han Shifeng was taken aback by Wang Jian's statement. She stuttered in shock and disbelief. What? In a nonchalant manner, Wang Jian responded, You should be well aware of my strength by now. No one in your tribe is capable of stopping me from wreaking havoc and decimating your people. Han Shifeng's eyes widened in terror as she realized the gravity of the situation. She fell to her knees and begged Wang Jian to spare her tribe from his wrath. And no. Anything but that, please, I beg you. She pleaded, her voice shaking with fear. Wang Jian's twisted smile widened as he found her pitiful state amusing. I also don't want to punish your tribe members for your mistake, he said in a mocking tone. Han Shifeng looked up at him with a glimmer of hope, but it was short-lived as Wang Jian's wicked grin returned. Very well, I will leave them alone if you accept your punishment, he said, his voice laced with malice. Han Shifeng's heart sank as she had a bad feeling about what was coming next. She asked nervously, what is it? What kind of punishment? Wang Jian grinned wickedly in response, don't act so naive. You should know exactly what I'm implying. Han Shifeng was stunned and murmured, no way. I refuse to do something so despicable. Wang Jian's tone was cold as he retorted, you have no choice. Your fate was sealed the moment you plotted against me. In one swift movement, he approached Han Shifeng and slashed through all her clothes. The suddenness of his action left Han Shifeng too shocked to respond in time. She stood there, exposed and vulnerable, her face flushed with embarrassment and fear. Wang Jian whistled in appreciation as his eyes roamed over Han Shifeng's stunning body. You can't do this. Han Shifeng protested weakly, her voice trembling as she tried to cover her nakedness. With her left arm wrapped tightly around her busted chest, she used her other hand to shield her fanny from Wang Jian's lecherous gaze. Wang Jian paid no attention to Han Shifeng's protests, for he had discovered that Lin Feng's fortune had taken a considerable dip after he had slept with Fin Shuang. News to rise at n/vel/b/i/n. Co. As a result, World's Essence wouldn't punish him even if he were to act against Lin Feng or any of his women. From the moment he had uncovered Han Shifeng's deceitful intentions, he had decided to teach her a lesson. He yearned to make her rue her actions in such a way that her consciousness would be forced to concede that it was her wrongdoing and that she deserved this penalty. Wang Jian's hands moved with purpose, reaching out to forcefully pull away the arm that Han Shifeng was using to cover her ample bosom. With a strong grip, he began to fondle her breasts aggressively, ignoring her desperate attempts to free herself. Stop it! Let go of me! Han Shifeng cried out, her voice laced with fear. But Wang Jian remained unyielding, his greedy eyes fixed on her exposed form. He pinched her nipples roughly, causing Han Shifeng to let out a lewd moan that only seemed to spur him on. The sound of her moaning seemed to excite him even more, and he continued to fondle and squeeze her breasts, his grip growing stronger and more forceful with each passing moment. Han Shifeng could feel her body responding against her will, betraying her with its reactions to his touch. Wang Jian's other hand slowly made its way towards Han Shifeng's shapely buttocks as he gave them a strong, resounding smack. The impact was so forceful that her flesh rippled and jiggled wonderfully. Han Shifeng let out a gasp of pain and surprise, but before she could recover, she felt her legs give out from under her. She fell onto the soft grassy plains of the forest, her naked body writhing and trembling with fear. Wang Jian stared down at her with an evil grin on his face, the predatory gleam in his eyes unmistakable. He quickly unfastened his pants and revealed his massive member to her. Now, don't be shy, he said in a mocking tone. You were so eager to find out why Lin Feng's women would fall for me. Well, this is the reason. Han Shifeng felt a wave of revulsion and terror wash over her. No, please, don't do this, she begged, tears streaming down her face. But Wang Jian ignored her pleas, grabbing her by the hair and forcing her head down towards his crotch. Han Shifeng struggled and thrashed about, but it was no use. She was helpless against his brute strength. But Wang Jian was not satisfied with just a blowjob. He wanted to break her, to make her submit to him in every way possible. So, he took her body with a ferocity that left Han Shifeng gasping for breath. He started with a tit-a-fuck, his hard member sandwiched between her ample breasts. Han Shifeng whimpered as he squeezed and groped her, his rough hands leaving bruises and marks on her delicate skin. She tried to push him away, but he was too strong. Then, he took her in many different positions, each more humiliating than the last. Han Shifeng's face turned bright red as he forced her to bend over, exposing her ass to him. He spanked her hard, leaving welts on her skin, and then took her from behind, thrusting into her with a force that made her cry out in pain. He flipped her over onto her back and spread her legs wide, penetrating her deeply as she moaned and writhed beneath him. He wanted her to know that he owned her, that she was nothing but a plaything to him. Hours passed, and Han Shifeng lost track of time as Wang Jian continued to use her body in every way possible. She was sore and exhausted, but he showed no signs of stopping. Han Shifeng lay on the ground, her breathing ragged and uneven, her body drenched in sweat and bodily fluids. Her eyes had lost all their luster, and her face was twisted in pain and agony. Wang Jian had thoroughly broken her, both physically and emotionally. He had been relentless in his assault, taking her body in every possible way, making her experience pleasure and pain in equal measure. As Wang Jian continued to ravage her, Han Shifeng could feel herself slipping away, losing her grip on reality. She was trapped in a nightmare from which she couldn't wake up. And Wang Jian was enjoying every moment of it. His depraved grin never left his face as he thrust into her relentlessly, determined to leave his mark on her body and soul. "Your entire body is stained with my thing," he said, his voice thick with satisfaction. Han Shifeng could feel his hot breath on her neck, his hands gripping her hips tightly as he moved in and out of her. Wang Jian finally pulled out of Han Shifeng and stood up, zipping his pants back up. He looked down at her with disgust and contempt. He sneered, "I hope you've learned your lesson." Han Shifeng lay there on the ground, naked and covered in sweat and semen. She felt utterly humiliated and violated, but she knew there was nothing she could do. Wang Jian had taken everything from her. Wang Jian carried Han Shifeng's limp body as he flew towards a nearby lake, the wind whipping through his hair. When they arrived, he tossed her into the cool water and watched as she flailed about helplessly. After a few moments, he dived in and pulled her back to the surface. Han Shifeng lay there, coughing and gasping for air. Wang Jian watched her with a cold expression before finally tossing a dress at her. "Get up and wear these clothes," he ordered her callously. I don't have any strength left," Han Shifeng responded weakly. "I don't care," Wang Jian replied coldly. "You're lucky I even bothered to clean you up. Now get dressed, and let's go." Han Shifeng managed to stand up, though her legs felt like jelly. She trembled with exhaustion and shame, feeling violated and humiliated. Visit en velben, cm for you ovals. As she stumbled to put on the dress that Wang Jian had thrown at her, she realized it was ill-fitting and uncomfortable. The fabric felt rough against her skin, and the dress was too tight around her bust, leaving little to the imagination. Han Shifeng's face flushed with embarrassment as she struggled to adjust the dress, trying to cover herself up as much as possible. Wang Jian watched with amusement as she fidgeted and adjusted the dress. He couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction at her discomfort. But after a while, he handed her an oversized cloak that concealed her body entirely. "You look much better now," he said with a smirk. Han Shifeng gritted her teeth in indignation due to this humiliation when Wang Jian dropped a bombshell. "It's time to visit your tribe," he said. Han Shifeng was startled and asked instinctively, "What? Why are we visiting my tribe? Haven't you punished me enough?" "Who said I am going to punish them? I am merely visiting my slave's tribe," Wang Jian replied, his voice laced with arrogance and malice. Very soon, the two were on their way towards the lair. As they walked, Han Shifeng couldn't help but feel a sense of dread building up inside her. She knew that her tribe would not look kindly upon her after what she had done, and the thought of facing them filled her with fear. As they approached the entrance to the lair, Han Shifeng's heart sank at the sight of her tribe members. Their expressions changed as they saw their clan heiress along with Wang Jian. They were terrified and puzzled. "What are you doing with him, young miss?" shouted out the members of the Miracle Angel tribe. Wang Jian's eyes glinted with amusement as he placed his arm around Han Shifeng's waist. He spoke with a sinister smile, "Your heiress has agreed to be my maid, so I have come to claim this tribe as its rightful owner." The Miracle Angel tribe members were terrified and angry, but they dared not show their anger to Wang Jian. They knew once Wang Jian was angered, there would be no saving them. There was no warrior in the Miracle Angel tribe that could take on Wang Jian and his forces and preserve the Miracle Angel tribe. With Wang Jian leading the way, they entered the lair. The tribe members followed, casting fearful glances at Han Shifeng, who hung her head in shame. Wang Jian's eyes scanned the lair, and he barked out an order, "Take me to Lin Feng. Now." The tribe members scrambled to obey, their fear palpable. They silently led Wang Jian and Han Shifeng to the infirmary hall, where Lin Feng was lying on the bed, gravely injured from his battle with Wang Jian. Lin Feng's eyes widened with shock and fury as he saw Wang Jian entering the infirmary hall. "You! How dare you show your face here?" he shouted, his body trembling with rage. "Allow me to share some news that might interest you. Your women have all been claimed by me," Wang Jian spoke with a twisted grin. "Impossible." Lin Feng started to protest but abruptly stopped as his eyes landed on Han Shifeng's bitter expression. Lin Feng struggled to stand up, his body still weak from the injuries. The sight of Wang Jian filled him with a fit of burning anger that he could barely contain. He tried to speak, but his voice was hoarse with rage. Wang Jian smirked at him, relishing in the despair and fury he saw in Lin Feng's eyes. It was certainly fun breaking their virgin bodies, he said, enjoying the effect his words had on Lin Feng. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, his fists clenched so tight that his knuckles turned white. I will kill you even if it's the last thing I do, he growled. 9 Heavenly Lightning Sword, Twin Lightning Dragon's last dash. But his rage was short-lived, as Wang Jian moved with lightning speed and delivered a devastating blow to Lin Feng's chest with his origin fist. The impact was so powerful that it sent Lin Feng flying across the room, crashing into a wall. As he lay there, gasping for air, Wang Jian stood over him, a wicked gleam in his eye. You are no match for me, Lin Feng, he sneered. Lin Feng glared at Wang Jian with intense hatred, his hand clutching the command seal of the Jin clan tightly. He thought he could intimidate the tyrant with his clan's power. But Wang Jian's response was far from intimidating. Instead, a sardonic smirk played on his lips as he sneered, You truly are amusing, fool. The Jin clan is indeed a powerful entity, but even they wouldn't be foolish enough to provoke me for a worthless, insignificant idiot like you. Lin Feng's face contorted with rage at the insult. He moved his arm, holding the 9 Heavenly Lightning Sword in an attempt to slash Wang Jian. He activated his mystic force, causing his chi to flare up, and unleashed his Moonrise Fist upon Lin Feng. The combination of standard chi and devil chi made the punch extremely powerful. Lin Feng felt as though he was freezing from the inside out. With a cold, condescending look in his eyes, Wang Jian spat out the word, die. That's all truckers, see you in next video.